Good evening and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Board of Education. The meeting is called to order at 5 p.m. in open session. Roll call, please.
Student Board Member Supnet. Ms. Armstrong.
Present.
Ms. Cintron. Mr. Critchfield.
Present.
Mrs. Garza.
Present.
Ms. Stewart.
Present. Tonight we do not have requests addressing closed session agenda items. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Hearing none. At this time, the board will recess to closed session. Open session will resume at approximately 6 p.m. Welcome back, everyone. Tonight's meeting of the Board of Education was called to order at 5 p.m. in open session. The board then adjourned to closed session at 5 p.m. and will now reconvene the meeting in open session at 6:03 p.m. Board Clerk Critchfield will update us on closed session topics.
Thank you, Madam President. The topics discussed in closed session were anticipated litigation, pending litigation, and labor negotiations. The board took no action in closed session.
Thank you so much. For tonight's Pledge of Allegiance, we have Miss Cassandra Wada from Frankie Woodruff, and she is a first grade teacher? Yes. Thank you so much. And she's going to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. If you could hit that button and it'll go green. Thank you.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Place your right hand over your heart. Let's begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so just to clarify, we do not have replacement pages and we do not have amendments to the agenda tonight, correct?
That is correct.
All right, do we have recognitions tonight?
We do, and I'm going to ask Mrs. Carter to assist us with the recognitions this evening, and I'd like to ask the board members to come down in front of the dais, please.
Okay. This evening, the Board of Education is pleased to recognize team and individual student athletes who earned the distinction of league champions during the spring season, and our student board member. Staff and students, as I call your name, please join us up front and remain for a picture. The Board of Education would like to recognize our 2025 spring sports, and we're going to start off with Mayfair Boys Tennis Doubles recognition. Could we please have Mayfair High School Boys Tennis Coach Chris Tran come to the front? Tonight, we are congratulating two students, Dominic Calzone and Anthony Quaros. Can you please come to the forward? We're recognizing both boys for earning Boys Tennis Doubles Gateway League Champion. The team received a remarkable accomplishment by completing an undefeated season with a perfect 24-0 record and also went on to be crowned league individual champions for the Gateway League. The team also earned a prestigious spot in the CIF Southern Section Individuals Tournament this week. Congratulations, gentlemen. Do you have anybody in the audience you'd like to thank or recognize? Aww.
My dad's outside right now. He's trying to make his way in because he came a little late, but yeah, shout out my dad and shout out my parents and my family.
Everybody's looking at the door.
That's wonderful. Well, congratulations again, and congratulations for the spot in the CIF Southern Sections. And Coach Tran, we thank you for your hard work and dedication to the team as well. Thank you. Next, we're going to be recognizing Mayfair Baseball. If we could please have Coach Frank Ravello come forward, that would be great. Joining Coach, we are going to call up a few seniors. We are calling up Nolan Fox, Josh Van Fosen, Jeremiah Lenar, Josiah Gamez, Dallas Montalongo, and Tyler Brim. We'd like to congratulate the entire team for winning the Mid-Cities League this season. They finished the season with a 20-9 record overall and a 13-2 record in league. They earned a spot in the CIF Southern Section Division 5 playoffs, where they unfortunately lost to a very talented Long Beach Poly team 2-1. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. Jeremiah Lanier. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you. Gentlemen, are there any people in the audience that you'd like to recognize tonight or thank?
I would just like to thank all the guys up here. This is my brothers. I'd like to thank everyone up here, my parents, and Coach Ravello. I want to thank my family and Coach Ravello for all the 4 years he supported me. I want to thank my parents and all the guys up here.
Let's give all of them another round of applause, and thank you, Coach Ravello, for your hard work. Next, we'd like to recognize our student board member. So come to the center. So we are recognizing our 24-25 student board member, Alyssa Zodia Supnet. Alyssa started her journey in Bellflower Unified District back in kindergarten, attending Albert Baxter Elementary. She was involved in various programs and clubs throughout her years at Bellflower, including ASB, Link Crew, Pre-Med Club, Thespians, Apex, CSF, Early College Academy, Cal Apps Health Occupations, and CTE Course Medical Assistant. Having a cumulative GPA of a 3.7, she has taken 3 honors classes and 13 dual enrollment courses throughout her high school career, as well as completed a CTE medical assistant pathway. Her favorite course was health occupations because she then realized what she wanted for her future, to become a doctor. After graduation, she plans to attend Cal Poly Pomona to pursue her interest in the medical field to become a pediatrician. Thank you for your countless contributions. We wish you continued success in the future and everything that you do. Let's give her a round of applause. Okay, and that concludes tonight's recognitions.
Alyssa, is there anything you would like to say to anybody here or anything just in general on your last night?
Oh, well, I just want to say just thank you for everything. This is an amazing experience, and it's not everyone that gets to experience this. My family couldn't be here today, or like my friends and anything, but I would just like to thank them for constantly supporting me. It has been a long 4 years, but I'm really glad I get to end it off here saying that I got to contribute.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We're very grateful for the student voices and for you, so thank you so much. All right, we're moving on to employee representative reports. Tonight, BTA does not have a report, but can CSCA, Anthony Ramirez, please come up. Welcome and thank you so much.
Well, hello. Board President Stewart, board members, Superintendent Azevedo, Cabinet, BTA and PTA leadership, members of the public, good evening. As it was said, my name is Anthony Ramirez. I'm the CSEA Chapter Communication Officer, and I'm here to give you a brief update on recent CSEA classified activities. As you know, this week is Classified School Employees Week. We classified employees are proud of the hard work we put in every single day in every single school site and department here at BUSD to help create the best possible learning environment for all BUSD students, their families, and the teachers. Thank you all for recognizing the value classified employees bring to this district. On behalf of CSEA, I want to recognize BUSD's very own Communications and Public Information Officer, Esmeralda Cisneros. She's back there in the corner, so everybody turn and look. Hi, Esmeralda. I want to thank her for helping us showcase through digital and social media many of the classified employees this week and the work they do. It was a very kind gesture for her to put all that up online for us. Thank you. Yesterday was CSEA held its Classified Employee Appreciation Week luncheon. This annual event was organized this year by our chapter vice president, Joanne Chain, along with a committee of volunteers. Lots of CSEA members showed up, shared a delicious lunch, socialized, and some even won raffle prizes. Not me, someone else, right? We also raised funds for a chapter scholarship fund, which is awarded annually by a committee to unit members and their dependents to help pay for their higher education costs. So thank you for everyone who contributed to our scholarship fund. Some administrators who are here today attended yesterday's luncheon, and I wanted to thank them for joining us. Board President Stewart, Superintendent Azevedo, Deputy Superintendent Dr. Smith, and Director of Classified HR, Dr. Frank Olmos, back here. Thank you. Thank you all for attending, and we are grateful for your time and your donations to our scholarship fund. So thank you for that. Lastly, this past Monday, CSEA leadership, myself included, attended the inaugural BUSD Retiree Social. It was great to join with teachers and administrators to celebrate the careers of a group of very dedicated and skilled people. Some of them are in the room tonight. We wish all those retiring this year a happy retirement. You earned it, so enjoy it. A lot of people turned out for this event, administrators, teachers, and classified, and we are excited to be a part of a new tradition here at BUSD. Hopefully it's a new tradition, right? We got to keep it going. That's all I have to report tonight. Thank you for this opportunity to update you on CSEA happenings.
Thank you so much. All right, next we have PTA Communications, and we have our president. This is going to be her last one. Is it your last one? Oh, yeah. We're here to celebrate that.
It better be.
President Linda Morgan, thank you so much for being here and everything you've done this year.
Well, thank you. Very kind of you. Board President Stewart, board members, Interim Superintendent Azevedo, Cabinet, community members, everybody in attendance or watching. So yeah, this should be my last report. It's been difficult, but it's been a blast, and I am honored to every month share all the hard work that our units do for our students and families. So I have a few more pictures to share this time. It's been a busy month. Council hosted our what we call our historian mixer, celebrating and sharing our achievements throughout the year. It's an opportunity for our units to share with each other as well as themselves. It's like a recap of the whole year. So for some of them, it was like, oh yeah, we did that. Oh, I forgot we did that. We get so busy, so it was fun to see everything that we've done. And then the amount of hours that our volunteers put in. We put a total of 35,317 volunteer hours into this year. And, thank you. It's a collaborative effort, and we know, the value of what we do, but there is an actual monetary value. So if you take, the California value of volunteer hours and you multiply that by the amount of hours we put in, it is over $1 million worth of volunteer hours. So I want to thank each and every one of them for all their hard work. We also held our honorary service awards. recognizing the very dedicated special individuals that go above and beyond for our students and our families. It was a very fun evening. We had Mayfair's choir perform for everyone. Obviously recognized some of our honorees, and it was a very fun evening. So thanks for everyone that was able to attend. Ms. Stewart, Dr. Smith, and Myra Garza and her husband. Thank you. All of our units hosted their teacher and staff appreciation luncheons. These are just a few pictures. Again, like every month, it's just a little bit of what our PTAs do. And then some of the other activities, a taiko drum assembly at Lindstrom. Some of our PTAs did crafts for Mother's Day cards. The BMX assemblies have been very popular this year. So many of our PTAs hosted a BMX assembly. I think that one is from Stephen Foster. The senior scholarships, our Mayfair and Bellflower PTSAs, as well as our feeder elementaries, provide and council as well, provide scholarships for our graduating seniors. Let's see. There's a lot more activities, I'm sorry. And I know I just put this together Tuesday, but I already forgot. I can't even remember what I did last hour, so. There is a reptile assembly, a college and career fair, and some other activities going on at Ramona, Woodruff. Several sites still did a fundraiser at their fun runs, whether it's a bubble run, jogathon, the, trying to remember here, Washington, the ones that raised the most money got to pie a teacher. So that always makes for some fun photos. And then another reptile or zoo assembly at Lindstrom. So a lot of assemblies. I know during the back to school night, the open house. Almost all of our sites hosted their book fairs. We've got 6th grade promotions coming up, year-end activities. Again, it's a busy but exciting time, and we're finishing strong. This being my last one, sharing the incoming board for 2025-2026 one more time. I will be stepping down, not away. On the right is the theme for our reflections. It's a little early, but some of our schools like to send some summer work. So the theme for our Reflections Arts program is I Belong. You know, have students go out there or paint, draw, write, anything having to do with what that theme means to them. So, and I think that is it for me. Happy Memorial Day and have a wonderful summer, you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for everything you've done. You're amazing. Okay, next up, we have our superintendent's report. Mrs. Acevedo.
Thank you. Good evening. The month of May, as you are hearing from different individuals, is a very busy time of year. It's a really nice time to be able to celebrate our students and staff with lots of different things going on, celebrating their accomplishments throughout the year. It's been a pleasure to attend so many of these events and see the pride in all our seniors' faces as they don their caps and gowns during the scholarships and award ceremonies. I want to extend a special congratulations to the students of Somerset High School in earning multiple spring awards. Their achievements reflect their dedication and perseverance. I'm also incredibly proud of the Bellflower High School first cohort of students to complete the Cerritos Early College program. That was amazing. This pioneering group of 23 students set the standard for future cohorts. Among them, Sophia Jones deserves a special recognition for completing not just one, but 2 Associate of Arts or Associate degrees. So congratulations to her. Very special. So that program provides our students an opportunity to complete a significant number of college credits while working on their high school diploma. So it's a really unique program, and we're super proud of those kids. I'd also like to congratulate our CSEA members. It is Classified Employees Week, as mentioned earlier. We thank them for all that they do. They are unified in purpose. to ensure that everything that we are all working on at all times is to benefit and support our students. So thank you for everything that they do. I look forward in the next couple weeks here to our elementary and middle school award nights and promotions. The first week of June will be an exciting time for the entire community. Across the district, every staff member plays a vital role in preparing our students to graduate ready to excel in college careers and life. So watching each graduate walk across that stage is a powerful and heartfelt moment, not only for our board members, but also for our educators that are standing there watching and participating. So it's an honor for all of us to share in this celebration, and we congratulate all of our students. So thank you for allowing me the few minutes to talk tonight about this special time of year.
Thank you so much. All right, moving on to our committee updates. We have a lot of committees. Some of them we have not met. We are finished with our Alliance Committee. Our SPED ad hoc has not met. Our foundation is finishing up. We've chosen the members of that board, and so they're going to be following up and start to do their own thing as we separate. I don't believe declining enrollment and facilities have met, correct? Okay, safety ad hoc, I'm going to go ahead and give that over to Mr. Critchfield.
Thank you, Madam President. We had a meeting on Tuesday. Board member Cintron and I and district cabinet, and we actually went over 2 different presentations, which I appreciate the work that went in those presentations. We had Evolve. They're not a metal detector. It's a weapon detector device. So anyway, it was really impressive, and we're going to have more information on that, and hopefully the board will consider that when it comes up. It's really great. I think they use them at SoFi Stadium, but for the purpose of keeping our campuses safe and secure. We also got a presentation. I want to say thank you to Christian. I don't think Christian's here, but for giving us a presentation on a company called Halo, which does vape detection. We get a lot of calls. I know I do. I'm sure my colleagues do as well on the excessive vaping in bathrooms. So there's new technology to help alarm vape usage. So cracking down on that a bit, I think, is going to be really important. So again, those are 2 things in committee that we went over, and hopefully they come to the board for consideration in the near future. Thank you, Madam President.
Board Member Cintron, anything to add?
It's not funny. It's not. But one thing that I thought was extremely it kind of opened my eyes is one of the things when we're talking about Halo and vaping is that our facilities have such a problem because the students decide to flush the vapes. And so we're constantly having to rework the sewage and the pipes and the toilets and the bathrooms, and then the students don't have access to the bathrooms, and they have to run across campus because the doors are locked to one on their side and things like that. But it's all because of the vaping problem on our campuses. So echo with Clerk Richfield is that, yeah, I'm looking forward to bringing some solutions to these difficult problems that our staff deal with across the board to hopefully make it a better campus experience for everyone.
Thank you. Anything else? I see you want to talk.
I know. It's my first time out of the house in a while, so I want to talk. No. But I will say, and I know more information will come out later, but in addition to some of the things that we didn't even know about vaping causing a problem with facilities and flushing, also these devices, they will, also for security, they'll alarm if there's a fight that breaks out, it can actually track how many people are in a certain area. So addressing problems before they happen, if there's a grouping of kids in a bathroom, it'll alert. There's so many things that it does that I know, I think Anaheim just installed these. I just want to applaud staff for being forward-thinking, and this is a newer technology and getting ahead of it. And so, again, I hope it comes before the board soon, but I think it'd be really great, and thank you for all the work that went into it.
Thank you. Our Culture and Climate Committee, we're going to be meeting next week, so we'll have updates next meeting. Our Athletics Subcommittee, we met this past week. Basically, we finalized the Student Code of Conduct. Again, we used to have some very severe consequences, and we tried to tier those consequences, as I stated last meeting, with interventions as well, not just giving kids blanket consequences, but also giving them interventions to try to help them get back on track. So we have like a 1, 2, 3-step process, so that was really good. We also went through our parent code of conduct, and we finished that. And then we looked at our spectator code of conduct, and we talked about we're gonna get some signage up at some of our facilities, just reminding, our spectators that it's kids, it's sports, and, how to be on our best behavior. So that was pretty much all we talked about with the athletic subcommittee. Legislative Action Committee did not meet, correct? Okay, and then I guess Cal Apps, we had our spring recognitions, and so I just want to thank Arlene Whitney and her staff. That was amazing. We had so many people. I think we had over 100 that were supposed to be there to get awards, so there was just a lot of celebration of some very amazing programs and amazing students that night, so that was pretty awesome. Do you have LAXTA update at all?
I do, President Stewart.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
So on the 19th, LAXTA, we had our annual dinner meeting that's hosted by none other than LACO. And we celebrated this past year's body of work while also electing next year's leadership. And we encourage all board members and superintendents to enjoy what LAXTA brings for our benefits to make us stronger advocates for our children. Of the 91 school districts in LA County, we had 75 members to sign up. So we had a campaign trying to get all the districts to join LAXTA. Like all of us are members. It's just that all of us don't flock here, but we can. And so that's why I always come back and report. So next year we're going to try to get those other 16 districts that didn't join. Because we found out is when we get together, we bring different talents, different strengths, and we can advocate on many levels together and be stronger. As LAXTA, we submitted a letter of support for AB 1390, and that's for the board member compensation. We individually submitted a board member survey that USC is hosting. And then CSBA came in and shared bills that we will need to support, upcoming bills that we will need to support in the future. So that's my report for LAXTA.
So much, Board Member Armstrong. All right, public comments. Tonight we do have requests addressing open session agenda items. While meetings of the governing board are not public meetings, they are open to the public. Individual speakers will be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board will limit the total time for public input on each item to 21 minutes as per Board Bylaw 9322.2. Can I have Miss Maribel Vega? Maribel Vega? Thank you so much for being here with us. If you could hit that green button or the person button.
Good evening, members of the board.
Do you want to lift this up a little bit? Okay, there you go.
My name is Maribel Vega, and I am the parent of a child with moderate to severe special day class at Washington Elementary. I'm here tonight because I strongly disagree with the district making decisions that directly endanger my child, like others like her. Decisions made without our parental consent, without our input, and without basic respect for our roles as parents. My child is a runner. She eloped. She does not yet have a concept of dangers around her. In every environment, she's in need to be secured, supervised, and equipped to keep her safe at all times. Washington Elementary is the only school that currently provides the level of safety that my daughter requires. May I add that my daughter was going to school in LA County, couldn't find any school to meet her needs. So I had to move her here to Bellflower. She was out of school for about 3 months because LA school was putting her in a general ed class, which was really hard for her, kept the teacher running after her. It was really out of control for her and the teacher. Sorry, it's just so stressful. So Washington has actually been a secure school for my daughter. The staff knows her, she knows the staff. They know how to respond when she runs, and the school is secure enough to prevent her from getting out. The schools where the district is proposing to move my mod, or the mod severe program, it does not have the level of security. They are not fully fenced, they do not have the same training, and they are not prepared to handle the behaviors and safety risk for our children, or that our children face daily. For my daughter, a move like this isn't a small change. It is a threat to her safety. If she gets out, if there's even one moment of distraction or oversight, the consequences will be devastating. Ernie Pyle does not have a safety drop-off and pickup location. That is her home school, and I already got a letter that that's where she will be going. I am very disappointed and very upset, and I'm considering homeschooling her for now or for next year, until the district either changes their mind or could provide a safer school for her. Ernie Pyle is not for my daughter. If something happens to my daughter, nothing will bring her back. I have to take care of my daughter at home 24 hours a day. Every day, I have to make sure she stays safe. She doesn't understand danger. I have I have cameras around the house. I have all the doors secured in and out. She's ran from me. When she started walking, learning how to walk, she's ran to the main street. Getting her to school was really hard and stressful for me, but when she came to Washington, I found peace. And we were both in the same page. One last thing, please take our kids' safety into consideration and think about us as parents. If you were in our shoes, how would you feel if they wouldn't take your consideration or opinion when moving your children to another school or program? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, this next name, I believe this is Yamilet Soria. I hope I pronounced that correct. What is it? So I know.
Don't worry.
It is Yamilet?
My name. Logan's mom is how everyone knows me.
Okay,
So
we have
I'm
Logan's mom. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, bingo, right? Which button do I
Oh,
press?
it's on, it's on.
Okay, sorry. Good evening, board members. I'm here for the same reason as the parent before me. My name is Yamilet Soria, which you won't remember, but Logan's mom you will. I'm a parent to a child in the Mod Severe SPC program at Washington Elementary as well, in the Bellflower Unified School District. I'm here because pretty much, I'm not gonna lie, I'm very disappointed that decisions were made without us. The way recent decisions have gone about in this district, it just goes to show that maybe no one cares about our little ones or our opinion. So the decision to change the location of my child's SPED program without informing parents in advance, speaking as a parent who didn't even get an email, I had to request one, without informing parents or seeking our input without obtaining our consent, honestly is a violation of our parent rights and probably a violation of federal law, I'm not gonna lie. The IEP is a legally binding document that cannot be altered without meaningful parent consent and participation. That's literally in our parents' rights that we are handed off every single time when we have our IEPs. IDEA, or the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, has safeguards. So that's literally like how the government would, right? It's checks and balances for us, so that way you guys can't make decisions without us, and we can't make decisions without you, right? Our children's education requires us to be involved, and this should be a team effort, at least on our part, right? The fact that this decision was made without us and only informed us after the fact, right? With no discussion, no opportunity to weigh in, clearly shows that our voices clearly don't matter, and pretty much our kids don't either. This change isn't just a movement of location. These students have profound needs who rely on routine, special supports, and safety measures so they can thrive and succeed in this school. I'm very afraid that the schools which you have chosen have a lack of essential changing facilities, adequate safety measures, and do not have the mild moderate classes. I literally spoke to the school that my son was assigned to. They will not have mild moderate at that location. Sorry, I lost my place. So the students cannot have a full continuum of services. This is like a giant, dangerous combination, and it's setting them up really to struggle, which they already struggle as it is. I would love real answers about how mild moderate classes will be integrated to provide a continuum of services at these sites. Like I said before, as some sites will not have them at all. Is it that the district plans to maybe violate the IEPs and that require a full continuous service? Some of these parents actually have classes that integrate the mild moderate classes, and I hope my kid will too at some point. But that won't happen when he is moved because it just doesn't exist. Sorry, that's all my time.
Do you want to continue? You can take the time to finish.
If you want, I mean, if you guys
Yes,
want.
please. Go ahead.
Okay, so the Special Education Administration, we're expecting us not to read the parental rights and the laws and pretty much not know the laws and that we wouldn't understand our rights, but that's wrong, right? I'm up here and so is other parents. I'm here to ask the board not to move our children to schools that are not safe, not equipped, and not appropriate. Some schools have not clarified if they have enough teachers. I've asked. I would really not like a sub for my child. That's all I've had at the BUSD district, unfortunately. I ask that you protect the most vulnerable students in this district. To ignore this issue would be to knowingly violate our parent rights. And I would really appreciate if you guys just kind of, have us weigh in, have us give our opportunity to just talk. We have to come in here to say something, or else you guys might not know about us. So, thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. A few things, Mrs. Acevedo. One, all three of these speakers have left their phone numbers, so can we please make sure that we contact them and that we answer any questions that they have?
Yes.
And then secondly, can you please just update the board on our Friday memo with making sure that we have reached all of our parents and how the communication is going with our parents and how they're being notified? I know we've spoken about this before, but maybe
Yeah.
just an update tomorrow if you can.
Yep, we can do that.
Thank you so much. Okay, so our last speaker is going to use a translator. It's going to be Miss Maria Zamorano, and she's going to be using Jeanette Martinez for her translator. Thank you for translating. We appreciate it. And so if we could at least double her minutes. Thank you so much.
Hola, mi nombre es María Zamorano, soy madre de Aaron Hernández, es estudiante de la Washington. Estoy aquí por la misma razón de las mamás, dos últimas mamás que hablaron.
¿Eso lo puedo decir? Sí. Hello, I'm a parent from the same as the other three parents that came up from Washington, and I have a son there in the special needs program. His name is Aaron Hernandez.
Estoy aquí por el motivo, ¿verdad?, de que en el IEP, ¿verdad?, en los derechos de padres que se nos dan, me doy cuenta que se nos tomará en cuenta en trabajar como equipo, ¿verdad?, en cambios tan importantes como lo que está haciendo ahorita la Washington, cual nos está moviendo mi hijo a la Ernie Pyre, se llama algo así la escuela. Yo me di cuenta por medio de otros padres que esto estaba sucediendo. Llamé al distrito, me dijeron, no se preocupe señora, si no le mandamos cartas, su hijo no pasa nada, todo sigue igual. Pero mi hijo sí está en la lista de los niños que se van.
I just want to talk to you about how when we attend our meetings, we are always reminded that we are part of a team, and I feel that the team did not inform me. I found out about my son being changed to Ernie Pyle Elementary through another parent, and then I confirmed that, in fact, my son was on the list to be transferred.
Mi hijo ha estado en Washington por los últimos 5 años, cual es su escuela, ¿verdad?, de su homeschool. Mi hijo ha encontrado ahí un lugar seguro. Mi hijo cuando se frustra, cual es muy fácilmente, él corre, igual en la casa, y en todo lugar él necesita ser vigilado todo el tiempo, ¿verdad? Yo caminé a esa escuela.
So my son has attended Washington for the last 5 years, and he has found a true home there. He has a lot of special needs. One of the things that he regularly does at school and at home is that he's a runner, and he requires a lot of supervision.
Caminé a la escuela donde me dijeron que lo van a mover y yo no miro que esa sea lo mejor para mi hijo, ¿verdad? No veo esa escuela segura como nuestra escuela, nuestra homeschool. Y estoy aquí, por favor, mi hijo le queda su último año en la Washington. Los cambios para él son muy difíciles. ¿Cuál serían 2 años, verdad? El que viene para la nueva escuela que me lo están moviendo y el otro que tiene que ser así porque va a la middle school. So, estoy aquí.
So I took a walk over to Pyle Elementary School just to take a look at the school, and I was not happy with the change. I'm being told that my son is being moved to that school, but I also want to remind you that he will be a 6th grader next year, and my son doesn't do very well with changes, so he would have to change for 6th grade, and then again when he moves on the following year for the middle school.
So, esto es lo que yo vengo a compartirles, nuestra necesidad, ¿verdad? Como familia, sobre todo de mi hijo. Su seguridad, sobre todo, es mi preocupación, porque él necesita supervisión todo el tiempo y yo no miro que esa escuela sea el lugar apropiado para mi hijo. Washington es su mejor lugar para él.
So I'm here just to share this information with you because my son needs a lot of safety net, and I know that at Washington he's safe. I just don't feel that he would be safe at Ernie Pyle, and I wanted to share this with you. Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you so much. All right, our next speaker is Anna Hernandez. And her number is also included on this if we can reach out as well. Thank you so much for being here.
Good afternoon. My name is Ana Fernandez, mother of Jesse Morales, currently at Washington Elementary. And the reason I'm here to speak for my son. I know you guys are making changes. I recently received the email that he was going to be switched to Pyle Elementary. Went over, and I see the parking is way different than Washington. My son does have a lot of issues, with changes and everything. Back then, there was issues where they were changing the substitutes in his class and everything until Mr. Tanza arrived to Washington, and his behaviors were wild. He got aggressive. He didn't want to go to school, all kinds of things. And now he's basically like more mellowed down. Now that he knows very well Mr. Tanza, he gets along with him. And now that they're making all these changes, I think it's unfair for them as well because of those changes, because they're special and they don't understand those changes. And I believe that Mr. Tanza is going to Woodruff, and they sending my son to Pyle. So my thing is I wish you guys didn't make the change, just because our kiddos are special, and not everyone understands that. Only the parents that have special kids. So I truly I'm asking, on my son's voice, and it'll be better if he stays at Washington. And because he is, I recently got surgery on my leg, and he's a runner. The parking at Washington is way different than Pyle, and right now with my leg that I'm not walking well with these changes, I know it's going to be even harder for me to drop him off at school. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anybody else that would like to speak? Yes, please. Yes, go ahead. And if you want them to contact you, if you want to fill this out later and hand it to them with your number, then we'll make sure they get a hold of you.
Yeah, I filled one out already.
Oh, okay.
I'm so sorry. I can't stress enough about this situation. We didn't know, and I felt like many other parents, we were just bombarded with this information. I please ask for you guys to review this. My daughter, it's like you guys are taking the best part of my daughter right now. She found stability, security, and Mr. Tanza is her teacher too. She loves her teacher. She loves going to school. She does have her days and her moments, but I feel like we're being selfish, or at least whoever made the changes was being selfish and didn't think about our kids' feelings or even considered speaking with us. Nobody knows our kids but us. My daughter, April, once she gets to know you, she taunts you. She will try to see how far she could go with you, and she'll try to run from you, elope from you. She hides. She hides from you. She locks doors. She cannot go to Ernie Pyle. Sending her to Ernie Pyle is like putting her in life in danger. That's how I feel. I cannot risk my daughter getting hurt or, even getting, losing her life. There's been situations where kids with special needs have eloped and were either found drowned or, lifeless, and that's what terrifies me. Please help us protect our kids and help us be their voice, because us as parents are their voice. I'm here for her and for all the kids in her shoes, because without us, they have no voice. So we have to speak up for them as their parents. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Acevedo, one last update. If we could get, I know we've been working on staffing. I'd like to know that we have enough teachers in those classrooms and that we're not starting the school year with subs. If you can somewhat give us on that Friday memo a look at wherever you're at. I know we might not be finished with that process, but if you can give us a look of how many teachers we have for classes and things like that that have been brought up tonight, please.
Yes, let me just clarify. Are you specific to the special education programs?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, moving on to our discussion items. We have 3 discussion items tonight. The first one is item 12.1, Reading Difficulties Risk Screener, our DRS adoption presentation. Mrs. Acevedo.
Yes, and I will turn that over to Mrs. Carter and her team.
Thank you. I'm going to be turning this presentation over to our Director of Elementary Education, Dr. Reyes.
Thank you. Good evening, Board President Stewart and board members, Interim Superintendent Lisa Acevedo, and Cabinet, and everyone in attendance here this evening. It's a pleasure to stand here before you this evening and share the Reading Difficulties Risk Assessment Screener that our teachers have selected and the process they used to come to this important decision. I would like to start by introducing our committee members that are here this evening to represent the larger committee and all of our teachers in kindergarten through 2nd grade. We have Joy Sievers, an intervention teacher at Ramona, Cassandra Wada, who you saw earlier, 1st grade teacher at Woodruff, Lupe Moran, kindergarten teacher at Ramona, Georgina Saman, intervention teacher at Ernie Pyle, and Dr. Jeanette Martinez, coordinator of dual immersion English learners and multilingual services. And they will walk you through our presentation this evening. So the first slide here is just an overview of Education Code 53008, which outlines the requirement to screen all students in kindergarten through 2nd grade for risk of screening difficulties at the beginning of the school year. This will go into effect in fall 25-26. And we had to select the screeners from a list of approved screeners, and the choice must be approved by our Board of Education. The screener will be part of our overall assessment system and support for foundational skills in the primary grades. The overall purpose of the screener is to identify reading difficulties early and immediately intervene to ensure all our students learn to read. The results of the screener should not be used as a diagnosis of a reading disability, but as a flag for potential risk for reading difficulties. I'll turn it over to Ms. Sievers.
So the first step in the adoption process was to select a district committee to review the screeners. The committee heard presentations from 3 vendors and then went back to their sites to share that information with their colleagues. After that, they brought that information at the sites. We gave them our information, and then after that, we brought that information back to the committee. So the committee, this shows the makeup of the committee, which includes kindergarten teachers, first grade teachers, and second grade teachers of general education and special education, as well as intervention teachers and dual immersion teachers. At our first meeting, we worked together to establish what is important for us as a district. We agreed on the areas shown on the slide. All of the topics relate to the English screener and the Spanish screener for dual immersion. This is a breakdown of the ethnicities of our district. It was important that the selected screener was piloted with a similar population of our students in the Bellflower Unified School District.
It was also important to analyze the languages spoken by our students. This graph shows the top 5 languages in BUSD, representing our multilingual learners. Spanish is the language spoken by most of our students, but Arabic, Cambodian, Tagalog, and Vietnamese are also represented in our district. The committee also examined the current foundational skills assessment in BUSD and the phonological awareness and phonics skills that are assessed in kindergarten through 2nd grade. As the new screener will be part of our overall assessment and intervention system, alignment will be very important for progress monitoring. And here are the phonological awareness skills, as you can see on this slide. And here are the phonics skills we already test using our NWEA at the beginning, middle, and end of the school year. Let's return to our original headings and see the specific details for each one after the committee reviewed all of the information on the previous slides. For example, you can see that administration of the screener is important, and we wanted a screener that's easy to navigate, has small and large group options, and provided sample test questions for students. We combined all of this information gathered by the committee, and we created a vision statement for our work. I will let you read through the statement for a moment. This statement outlines our belief in quality early intervention to support student success by using an efficient and effective screener.
So once we established our criteria as a district, we turned to the 4 screeners. The 4 screeners the screeners came from an expert panel based on criteria that was approved by the State Board of Education. They were selected because they met the following criteria: description of assessment battery, psychometrics, and communication and resources. So here were the 4 screeners. It was Amira, M-Class, Multitudes, and ROAR. As you can see, ROAR only assessed 1st and 2nd grade students, and it was only in English, so the committee eliminated that right away, which left us with 3 committee presentations. So we heard from Amira, M-Class, and Multitudes. So we used a rating tool to assess the screeners. We evaluated each screener, and we had the opportunity to go into each platform and try them ourselves. We took notes and then asked clarifying questions at those presentations. You'll see those are the tools that we used, and then the Google form was used to gather the data of the committee. And here are the results of what the committee thought of the screeners. So this one is M-Class, and the orange is what it adequately met the needs of our district. But it was limited in some areas, such as administration and accommodations. It also was not very closely aligned to our current system that we're using in our district. So you'll notice that Multitudes now, lots of orange again, It also adequately met the needs of our district, but the difference with Multitude was it had some areas of strength. It got strong ratings for immediate results, family reports, and the compatibility with our current system that we're using. This is Amira. You'll notice that the blue was very prevalent. Amira received a very high rating in most areas that were most important to the committee and our district.
Based on the data and discussion during our committee presentation, M-Class was removed from consideration. Committee members returned to their sites to share the presentation and demonstration of the platforms of both Amira and Multitudes. We shared this information during our PLC meetings where teachers had the opportunity to log in and become familiar with both of the screeners. At each school site, every kindergarten, first grade, and second grade teacher had the opportunity to complete a Google form to provide input and select one of the two screeners. Here are the site level results for Multitudes. Although we strong support in some areas for school sites, most teachers rated Multitude as adequate or limited in key areas. The main points that teachers made when rating Multitudes was that it allowed students the freedom to click throughout the task and then move on. Part of the test is administered one-on-one, and teachers felt it would take longer and impact instructional minutes. Multitudes also required 2 devices to administer the assessment. Additionally, most of Multitudes presentations and trainings are virtual, and teachers would prefer in-person trainings for this screener. Here are the results for Amira. In every category, the majority of the respondents listed Amira as strongly meeting the needs for Bellflower Unified School District.
When teachers' responses to Amira were analyzed, they fell into 4 main categories. On this slide, you can see the first 2 themes. It's easy for teachers to administer to their students, and the information provided is valuable for instructional purposes. In addition, there's a strong alignment between data from Amira and our current foundational skills assessments using our NWA. There was also strong support for the Spanish assessment for our dual immersion and English learner students. The overall results show that 98% of our kindergarten, first, and second grade teachers stated that they strongly support or can support Amira as our new screener.
So, based on the data and feedback, Amira has been selected by BUSD teachers as the screener we will use at the beginning of the 2025-26 school year. Let's take a close look at our screener, Amira. For kindergarten and early first grade, Amira focuses on the basics, like recognizing letters, understanding sounds, and beginning to read simple words. These skills are important for building a strong reading foundation. As children move into first and second grade, the screener looks at more advanced skills, such as reading fluently and understanding what they read. This approach follows well-known reading development stages, ensuring students get the right help at the right time. Now, the nature of a screener is to administer brief assessments on multiple early literacy measures. Amira takes between 15 and 20 minutes to administer. Students are led through the assessment by Amira, so they don't have to click to go on to the next task. Each student will be on their own Chromebook with headphones, and teachers can monitor students as the class tests. The students can speak directly into their Chromebook. Now, how this is possible is Amira's AI systems. Amira's AI systems are designed to be fair, accurate, and effective for every child, regardless of background or speech patterns. The system recognizes and accepts diverse accents and dialects. It accommodates developmental speech patterns. It shows equivalent accuracy across gender, racial, and ethnic groups and English language learners. It undergoes continuous testing to ensure no bias against any student population. And Amira adapts intervention strategies to individual learning styles and needs. Regular evaluations show that Amira performs consistently across all demographic groups, with accuracy rates exceeding 95% for each subgroup, and intervention effectiveness that matches or exceeds what would be expected from skilled human tutors.
Amira Spanish, or Amira Español, is a research-based tool that helps teachers check for key reading skills in Spanish-speaking children. It was created specifically for Spanish readers, and it's not just a translation from English. The screener helps identify reading difficulties early on, using an approach that respects both the language and culture of Spanish-speaking students. It gives accurate and fair results, ensuring that all children get the support they need to become strong readers, no matter their first language. Amira Español is designed to assess reading skills in Spanish, focusing on the unique way Spanish works as a language. Since Spanish has a clear and consistent connection between letters and sounds, the screener emphasizes skills that help children read fluently and accurately. Overall, Amira Español is designed specifically for Spanish-speaking children, ensuring that they get the right support to become strong and confident readers.
After the screener is administered, parents are provided with a very comprehensive report in English and Spanish that gives an overall score for their student, but also breaks reading into subscores, so strengths and areas of improvement are easy to spot. Here are the next steps in our screener process. All kindergarten through second grade teachers will be trained by Amira to administer the assessments and analyze results at the beginning of the 25-26 school year. Parents will receive a letter explaining the purpose of the screener before it is administered, and there is an option for parents to opt out of the screener in writing. We will then administer the screener, and as is our usual practice, results will be discussed in PLCs and instructional decisions will be made based on student need. Reading intervention will begin at the school sites, and students will be monitored to track improvement in reading skills. Parents are kept informed via parent conferences in September, academic intervention plans, and progress reports. Early and targeted intervention is key to helping all of our students become proficient readers. Thank you for listening to our presentation. Are there any questions about the process or our new screener?
First off, I want to say when I got this packet, I was like, this is going to be long, and you guys are amazing. You guys are like the model presentation team. I want to say that right now. Colleagues, do you have any questions? Vice President Garza.
Thank you, Madam President. I do have some questions with this presentation, although it's amazing. Thank you so much. Will we still be giving the NWEA? So it's in conjunction with this. Okay. So can you explain to us what is the difference between the NWEA and the purpose of this new Amira screener?
If I may, so the NWEA Fluency, which we normally would use beginning, middle, and end of the year, it tests all of those basic skills in phonological awareness and phonics, and it does the flags for the students. So it's really something that we have already been doing. Amira is a screener, so it's a lot of those same tests on those particular skills. They're brief and they're done quickly because we're trying to look at fluency with the skills, and also we'll give the red flags So we know those are the students that we really need to focus on and in what specific area we need to focus on. So that's why when the committee looked at the screeners, they really wanted to find one that aligned as closely to NWEA as possible, because Amira is just our screener, and we're going to continue using the tools we've always used throughout the year to monitor growth and see that students are improving and learning to read. So that alignment was crucial. It's just that the state had their list, as you know, and that we are bound to select from those. So we did our job. You guys did an amazing job. The committee was much larger than this. They're representing the committee, and the alignment was one of the biggest pluses for our teachers, so that we can continue working our intervention the way we always have.
So not all of us are teachers on this dais. So can you please explain what is a screener? What is it used for? What's its purpose?
So a screener is a series of short tests. So for example, it could be on identifying letters and letter sounds and then putting words together. And it's to find out if students can do this with ease and fluency. And then it will tell you, okay, there's some areas of strength here. This is where our students are solid, but there's some areas here that need work. And it's important that all areas are solid, because they're all the building blocks of learning to read. And our students need all of those for us to get them all to that 100% mastery in reading. So once you've screened, then you're going to take those results and you're going to plan your instruction. You'll work, obviously, Tier 1 is whole group. Our teachers do that. But then you're going to pull small groups. And the idea with a small group is it's targeted skills, that they're getting that double dose, that extra practice in, so that they can catch up when they're back in the whole group there. So that is the purpose of a screener.
I have more questions, but if anybody wants to jump in, go ahead.
I just have one, and then I'll kick it back to you. This screener will be used at all elementary sites, including our dual immersion?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Vice President Garza.
No one else? Okay. I'm going to continue then. Thank you. So what you're telling me then is, when would you be administering these screeners? 3 times a year, at the beginning, at the end?
The screener will be administered at the beginning of the year, as is in accordance with the education code. At elementary with foundational skills, we also benchmark it in December, right before we leave, and then we've just finished our spring. So we will continue to use NWEA in the winter and in the spring. So the screener is just at the beginning of the year. It's not intended to continue for that growth.
So once a year. And I did remember you mentioning it as used for progress monitoring, but it's not going to be used for progress reports for parents or to complete achievement reports.
No, our progress monitoring will continue to be done by NWEA, but the screener, what will happen with parents is the screener will be done when we first come back, and by the time we have parent conferences, that's something that teachers can share. And they also have very nice reports for parents. That was another plus for Amira, that they can share with parents at conferences and say, this is what we're looking at, these are the skills that are strong, these are the skills that need work, and here's what we're going to do about it, and here's what you can do at home to help that as well.
And so the teachers have already seen that the NWEA results mirror Amira, because if there's a discrepancy and they're going to use this for progress reports or conferences for parents, they're going to get their achievement report, which may say something, but then the Amira may say something else, and then there will be a dispute.
Well, as I said, there's strong alignment in what they're testing. The skills that they're looking at with Amira at the beginning of the year. So if I'm saying I'm working with a student and I notice that there's some deficits in phonological awareness, there's some deficits with blending and segmenting, phonemic manipulation, all the things that we need to hear before we can read and write, and Amira tells me that, then that's what I'm going to work on. That's what I'm going to intervene with. NWEA provides progress monitoring, and that December benchmark, which we consider very important because we want to see where are we at this point in the year on those same skills. So what you're really looking for is growth, and that now with the NWEA assessment, when it comes to blending and segmenting and all of those things, that student is now approaching grade level or on grade level. But Amira, as the screener that the Ed Code is mandating, is telling us where those areas are. So I don't believe, does anyone want to add to that? I don't believe there will be a discrepancy. That's one of the reasons that we chose it.
Okay. And so then, sorry, I lost my last question, but we're going to be testing kinders in dual immersion as well.
Yes.
So, and this will be in Spanish, not in English.
I'm going to let Dr. Martinez.
Thank you.
For the dual immersion students, it will depend on their home language, because we do have bilingual students, and we also
Yes.
have English-only students and Spanish monolingual students in the dual immersion program. So we will be looking at their home language to decide whether or not they will get it in English or in Spanish.
What level of difficulty and what type of developmentally appropriate behaviors need to be developed for these students in kindergarten to be able to take this test?
Well, the way the assessment is developmentally appropriate for K through second. So we didn't see any discrepancies with what the students would need to perform in a regular assessment like the NWEA. So we didn't see any difficulties with our kids or developmentally discrepancies that would be a problem for our kids to perform well or to show if they have a problem in their reading skills.
So all students will be able to access the information that they're supposed to understand and give answers to in kindergarten.
Yes, I can speak from experience because we've been testing our students at our site and learning a lot with our experience with our current system. And the tests, the NWEA and the Amira screener are both adaptive assessments. And we've watched several students, you watch a student take a test, and if the information becomes too difficult or if the test becomes too difficult, it gives them something at their level so they don't have to continue. They feel successful, and both of them, they explained Amira as that she's the teenage Dora the Explorer. So the student in the NWEA has a worm as the character for that assessment. So they're both engaging assessments for the kids, and the best part is that they are adaptive.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
My next question is gonna go more towards what do we do next? With the next steps, after you've gotten the screener, you've got this information, so what are you doing with the data?
So the data determines our grouping and which students are in need of intervention in their classroom and also which students need that tier 2 intervention. We have the ability, being a reading intervention teacher, we've now been able to target more than ever using that data from the NWEA assessment. And from what I've seen with Amira, it's just going to enhance what we're already doing because there is a multitude of resources, lots of resources that Amira has that we'll be able to access as well. So after the students, let me explain the process. So after the students are assessed, we look at what skill area that they might need some additional support in, and then those become our groups. And then we have a progress monitoring piece with NWEA where we're monitoring along the way. We're not waiting until those benchmark assessments. We're giving that progress monitoring assessment to make sure that our targeted interventions and our targeted tier 1 instruction, that they're responding to both of those things.
Thank you for that answer. My last question, sorry, is geared more towards, do our teachers, and maybe this is more towards our cabinet, do they have the strategies, skill sets to be able to appropriately, after they get this data, put steps in place so that way they can do the small group assessments and work that needs to go into it?
I can defer to them, but how I would answer is that would need to be part of their training. So when they get the Amira training, I think part of that's going to be the transition of what's next and how they use that in their classrooms. Anything to add?
I would like to add that when we looked at the reports, they were very specific and they showed all the different areas of deficit. And I envisioned that we would definitely discuss all of that at our PLCs. Definitely our teachers are going to be trained by the Amira, but we also meet as teachers. We segregate, we analyze the data, and we decide then our next steps. And as my colleague Joy had shared, we're not going to wait because the areas align with the NWA. When we assign the progress monitoring for those specific areas, then we could see and track the progress. And all of that information is available to the teachers. And a part of what we're doing as intervention teachers is making sure that the teachers are empowered to use the system and to navigate it and to access that data to make sure that students are making growth. And then if students are not making growth, then we have a discussion and we go into other steps.
I'd like to piggyback real quick off my colleague. How are the teachers going to be trained? How long does it take? How many days does it take? And is this a part of our plan of the PD days at the beginning of the year, or is it throughout the year with PLCs? What are we planning with our training?
Yes, Amira will provide training for the teachers, so we will be looking to provide that training at the beginning of the school year when we come back. So all our K first and second teachers will be trained to use Amira and to have some planning time just to get ready for this first assessment. It's just the screener that's different. Our teachers are used to doing all this at the beginning of the year. So we're looking forward to the training and learning more about it, but it's very user-friendly, so.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, do you want to go ahead? All right, Clerk Hirschfield.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you for the presentation. And you kind of already addressed this, but I just want more clarification. I know the Ed Code 53008, that was for early identification of reading problems, in particular dyslexia. And I think one of the concerns with a bill with this is the possibility of over-identifying special needs and further draining a resource when you have 1,800 already identified with IEPs. Is that something that we're going to be making sure, like those tier 1 and tier 2, obviously you spoke about it, they're going to be there, but just make sure we don't, this doesn't cause an over-identification problem? Is that something that's been talked about?
Yes, we discussed that in the committee, and then our committee members, when they went out back to their sites to work in their PLCs, they also emphasized that. Really, when you see a red flag in the screener, it means you need to intervene and do something now, and if you don't, this is still going to be a red flag at the end of the year. So this is our opportunity to intervene early and specifically. So that's been a big point of discussion throughout the committee.
Great, thank you.
Vice President Garza.
Thank you. I want to point out and highlight that Scarborough's reading rope does talk about what you're saying, but my real concern is that our teachers are not maybe fresh on their skill sets to really address these very specific issues that you're going to be finding. So are we planning to at least refresh their knowledge for teachers who haven't had this for a very long time, and new teachers who are coming onto Bellflower Unified? Will they be trained as well? And it's not the same in English as it is in Spanish. So we have to be very, very careful that we're not just doing direct translations for these students. It doesn't work that way. And you don't teach reading that way to students of a different language.
So just to answer your question, we are providing the science of reading training for our teachers, our TK3 teachers next year. It will start in the beginning of the year. We are required to give this screener. So more to your question specifically, it will not be on those 2 days, the 13th and the 14th of August, but it will be in the beginning of the school year that professional development will be provided. And to speak to more of the Spanish side of that and how you teach that language, that's part of what we're working on as well. Jeanette is involved in all of those pieces. So it is something that we've got planned and moving out for the remainder of the year. for next year.
Okay. By any chance, do you have any idea as we are going to be able to move this training to, I'm sorry, what you call it, the science of reading?
It's getting reading right. It's the LACO
Yes.
Science of Reading training. Mhm.
Okay. So are we thinking of also involving our middle school and high school teachers?
At a certain point, but we wanted to make sure that we targeted TK through 3 first. So
Okay.
we have sort of a plan to hit all the grades as well as, and you'll hear about that more in the LCAP presentation, but as well as English language learners and our dual immersion students.
Perfect. I'm also gonna, well, recommend that you look at, oh goodness, what's that called? I think I've said it to you before, the strategies for fomenting
GLAD
vocabulary.
strategies?
Yes, GLAD strategies.
Yeah, you'll hear that in the LCAP. You're taking all of my LCAP presentation stuff, Ms. Garza. But
Sorry.
you'll hear that. That is in our plan for next year.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
No, you're good. Any other, Board Member Armstrong?
I just want to say, I know you guys have been working on this since January. I started the training, it was funny. I was like, that's funny. Bonnie Carter. Wait a minute, how is it that Bonnie Carter and Deidre Rage is on the same, workshop that I'm going through also? So I'm so glad you guys finished. I know it was a lot of work, and I think you did a very good job, especially figuring out that Amira is the best one for us. So thanks so much. We have a lot of work ahead of us, but the thing is, we're going to identify these children earlier, and we're going to provide the interventions that they need. So, yay, ever since January, so, yay. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
And I would just like to echo my thanks to the committee and also to publicly acknowledge all of our kindergarten, first and second grade teachers who also participated, took the work very seriously, and I think this is going to be great for us next year. So
Thank you so much. All right, moving along to our second discussion item, 12.2, World Language Instructional Materials Adoption Presentation. Hopefully you guys were taking notes on that first presentation. Mr. Castaneda, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you. We definitely did take notes. Good evening, buenas tardes, bonsoir, Wan Chong Hao, Board President Stewart, members of the board, Interim Superintendent Lisa Azevedo, cabinet members, and community. It gives me great pleasure to be here this evening to present an update on the World Languages textbook adoption process at Bellflower Unified School District. Our adoption process ensures our students have access to high quality, culturally relevant language instruction that prepares them for global citizenship and academic success. With me this evening are world language teachers, part of the adoption committee, from BHS, Ms. Martinez and Madam Vaughn, from MHS, Ms. Garcia, Ms. Barquero, Madam Faubin, and Ms. Luo.
Thank you so much for all of you being here.
At Bellflower Unified, our world language programs support students in fulfilling the A through G requirement, also known as the language other than English requirement for college eligibility. Currently, Bellflower High School offers Spanish and French, while Mayfair High School provides Spanish, French, and Mandarin. These courses aim to build multilingual proficiency, cultural understanding, and global awareness. Our language programs are guided by the California World Language Standards, which emphasize what is being taught, and the framework, which focuses on the how of language instruction. The standards and framework promote active student participation in meaningful, real-world communication. Instructional shifts in the standards and framework place a greater emphasis on learners taking an active role in the communicative process, engaging in real-world communicative activities, and participating in interactions with target language communities around the world. The standards call out 15 key instructional shifts The adoption committee identified 3 key shifts to guide their approach in selecting new materials. Moving from teacher-centered classrooms to student-centered environments where students learn to use the target language, which fosters authentic cultural connections. Students engage in tasks that reflect real-world language use and diverse cultural contexts. The teacher's role as a facilitator or collaborator during instruction promotes active student-centered communication. Students are doers and creators of language, not just passive recipients. There is an emphasis on interpersonal, interpretive, and presentational communication, the 3 modes of language use. The Seal of Biliteracy is a key motivation for our world language programs. It highlights students who have attained a high level of proficiency in 2 or more languages, showcasing their linguistic skills and cultural awareness. To earn the Seal of Biliteracy, students must demonstrate proficiency in English through coursework or assessment and proficiency in another language through similar measures. English learners must also achieve a score of 4 on the LPAC to qualify. This recognition is a powerful statement of a student's ability to engage in our global society. Our adoption timeline began in late 2023 and includes multiple phases. In December 2023, there was an overview of the framework and a materials fair to see the available materials. In January 2024, publisher presentations were held and teachers selected 2 sets of pilot materials. From February to May 2024, teachers piloted the first set of materials. From August to November 2024, teachers piloted the second set of materials. In December 2024, teachers met to review both sets of materials and select the recommended materials for adoption. In April 2025, we presented to the Citizens Task Force. And after board approval, the next step is to provide professional development and training on using the adopted materials to ensure successful implementation. Our teachers utilized a robust feedback tool to evaluate the pilot materials. The feedback focused on alignment with the 2019 World Language Standards, real-world language use, differentiated supports, and student-centered learning. It also considered digital resource integration, cultural authenticity, and effective scaffolding for diverse learners. Now that we've reviewed our approach to evaluating instructional materials, we want to share insights from the teachers who piloted these resources. They will walk us through the strengths and challenges of the various programs we considered and explain why we ultimately selected the recommended materials for each language.
During our review of the Spanish pilot materials, we evaluated several options. Senderos was evaluated for Spanish levels 1 through 4. This traditional text relies heavily on vocabulary lists without comprehensible input, includes numerous grammatical errors, and has a poorly designed online platform that limits student engagement.
For Spanish speakers, we review MAPAS. This program was found lacking in rigor for heritage speakers and had a challenging, underdeveloped online platform. We also reviewed Triangulo for AP, and while it provides some important AP content, it lacks comprehensive coverage of the required AP themes, requiring significant supplemental resources.
For our Spanish courses, we are recommending the following materials for adoption. Reporteros for Spanish levels 1 through 4. This textbook stands out for its diverse perspectives, authentic visual supports, and rich digital resources. It presents real-world context that engage students in meaningful language use with a strong emphasis on culturally relevant topics and student-centered activities.
For Spanish speakers, we are recommending En Voz Alta. This text is designed specifically for heritage speakers. It provides rigorous content that challenges students with authentic materials. It has extensive literacy practice and preparation for AP level work. It also includes grammar and vocabulary practice in context, supporting students as they strengthen their academic Spanish and cultural connections. For AP, we are proposing temas. We want to adopt temas. This comprehensive text is fully aligned with the AP course and exam description. ensuring comprehensive coverage of all AP themes. It provides authentic resources and is rich in cultural and multimedia integration, offering a wide range of activities that encompass all three forms of communication: interpretive, interpersonal, and presentational.
For our French programs, we reviewed Reporter Francophone, a program that aimed to engage students with authentic, culturally rich content. However, it had several challenges. Technical issues with our online platform, limited authentic cultural resources and multimedia support, insufficient differentiation for diverse learners, overwhelming vocabulary without sufficient scaffolding. Overall, it lacked the flexibility and support needed to fully prepare students for advanced proficiency and AP readiness.
For our French courses, we are recommending the following materials for adoption: Entre Culture, levels 1 through 4, and AP Pronom. These programs are selected for their strong alignment to standards and comprehensive support for both students and teachers. Key features include the textbook structure with 6 manageable units, flexible pacing, can-do statement, integrated context using personalized visuals and immersive resources. The student support has differentiated assessment, interactive online platforms, real-world tasks that build proficiency in all 4 modalities. It supports students' voice and self-reflection through digital portfolios and progressive tracking. And the last one, teachers' resources, includes lesson plans, scaffolding, strategies, and cross-disciplinary connections for seamless classroom implementation and AP readiness.
For Mandarin Chinese, we reviewed Go Far with Chinese, Integrated Chinese, and Step Up to AP. Go Far faces our opinion too quickly and introduces complex reading early on, making the jump from level 2 to level 3 especially tough. Integrated Chinese, originally designed for college students, moves at a very fast pace and includes advanced content that can overwhelm our high school student learners without a strong foundation. All these 3 programs present challenges in pacing, accessibility, and cultural relevance for our high school learners. To better meet the needs of our students, we are recommending the following materials for adoption: Authentic Chinese for level 1 to 3, and eChinese for AP. Authentic Chinese focuses on student-centered learning. It uses relatable themes and storylines that connect to high school students' life, encourages participation, and builds practical communication skills. It also integrates modern cultural elements and offers strong AP preparation. eChinese for AP is designed for advanced learners. It includes simulated AP exams, interactive tests, and real-world projects that develop fluency and deepen cultural understanding. Together, these programs provide a well-rounded approach, supporting students from beginner to advanced levels and preparing them for both the AP exam and real-world communication.
This textbook adoption process is a critical investment in our students' linguistic and cultural competencies, ensuring they are prepared to thrive in an increasingly interconnected world. We are confident these selected programs will provide meaningful, real-world language learning experiences that align with our district's mission, vision, and instructional focus. Thank you for your time, and we welcome any questions you may have.
All right, colleagues, any questions? Vice President Garza.
I promise it won't be as long this time. So what grade levels will we be looking at for these adoptions?
So the adoption is for all secondary grades, so grades 7 through 12.
Okay. So I'm going to assume that these, or maybe I'm wrong to assume, that these textbooks are also going to be used for the dual immersion students, or is it completely separate?
It will. So the Spanish speaker series will also be utilizing the En Voz Alta.
And have we kind of done a test on those students at this time to see if they're going to be challenging enough for them?
Ms. Garcia, would you like to speak to it? Oh, Ms. Garcia.
We are discussing that because we did the piloting and the best option was in Voz Alta for the materials that we look out there. But then afterwards we went to visit a middle school with a dual immersion program, Fere Middle School, and we found a very good option there. So she is working on that with the district and seeing if it's possible for us to get this pilot another option specifically for dual immersion. She's not here. She left Ms. Martinez, but she's working on that. She's here?
right there.
I thought you left. I
It's
didn't
okay.
see you. So you can speak for them.
No, you can stay up here. You're part of
Okay.
this too. Okay. So yeah, so that was the question that we had this year. We wanted to make sure that this adoption would be appropriate for the Spanish speakers, but we know that our dual immersion Spanish speakers are a different type of population in a sense. So we are looking at that this next coming year to see if we can identify not just one, but we want to have a few more options that we want to review just so that we can have some alternatives, some choices that we can make that are going to be appropriate for the dual immersion students at the secondary level. So that's something that we are going to be coming back to you later on as soon as we have a new idea in terms of what will be appropriate for our kids in the dual program.
Okay. But for now, this is what they're going to be using.
For now, this is what they're going to be using. They are using the same curriculum that they're using or the same textbooks that the Spanish for Spanish speakers are using, but we know that there might be a need for a change in the future.
And I'm teaching right now dual immersion, so I'm currently using En Voz Alta. I've been using it for 2 years piloting. So it is a good book, but we can see if there's better options for them.
Room for growth. Perfect. So how are, for all of these new adoptions, how often do we have to go to adopt new textbooks?
So there's a cycle, there's a timeline established by the Department of Education, and so we usually wait for that guidance, usually for a list to come out. And Ms. Carter, I believe you can probably speak more to that, but I know that this one specifically, we had updated standards in 2019, and then the framework was updated in 2020, so a lot of the publishers were starting to update their materials because of the shifts in the framework.
It's typically 8 years, but because of the shifts, they then needed materials to match that.
Okay, thank you. And go ahead.
Ms. Garza is taking all the good questions tonight. That was my question, was California school districts update books every 8 years minimum? And I was more of a question, that, and if you don't know this answer, it came from a community member asking this question, you can get back to us. But what subjects are next for adoption, and which books are over 8 years old?
I would have to get back to you on 8 years old, the textbooks, but we just recently did our social science adoption, so those would not be 8 years old. Our English language arts, we're renewing. They are 8 years old, and we have brought back our teams for updated training from in the elementary right now, and we're working on secondary next year. So we'll have those for at least, we're thinking at least 4 more years, because the next adoption is math. And so we'll do framework training next year, and then those titles will not be out until November-ish, which is when we'll start to get an adoption committee together and do the adoption committee the following year. So science is probably getting close. We're probably at about 6 years, but that's a guess, and I'd have to get back to you.
Okay, if you'll get back, I would appreciate that. And then my last question was, when was the last time we adopted world language books?
2015.
Oh, you said that. I should be listening. I'm sorry, I apologize. Clerk Critchfield.
Thank you, Madam President. 2 questions. One, I know, first of all, thank you for all the work that went into this. Really appreciate it. the cost of each probably vary, right? Does that factor in at any point? Not saying it shouldn't, but at what point do you know the cost of what these books are? Do you know before you do the assessment, like the
I would say that
recommendation?
the committee does not know the cost
So it's
because
like
it
a
is not a
blind-
factor in why
and-
we would
and-
pick a textbook.
And it should not be. I was just curious if it was like a blind kind of assessment. Okay, good. Second question. At what point do we not use textbooks and we go digital? Do some districts go digital? Because, I mean, it's a lot of money. And I feel like, I don't know, it's kind of a rhetorical
Well, we're
question. but
noticing that a lot of the publishers are very heavy online now. I mean, I think they all spoke to some component, whether the platform was sufficient enough, and there were some that were really stellar. Obviously, the ones that were selected, and then there was some that struggled. And so we are kind of shifting into that space as well. Like, for example, in the Mandarin Chinese, the AP is fully online.
Yeah.
So that one specifically is all online. So I think as time goes, that will be a shift, but it wasn't a factor for our selection.
Okay, thank you. And do we know, are there surrounding districts or even not so surrounding, have some districts gone to digital when it comes to textbooks?
There are some districts that have gone digital.
Okay, and that's something that we're open to in the future as we kind of,
We'd have to take it on a case-by-case basis, absolutely.
okay. Thank you.
Vice President Garza.
Thank you, Madam President. My next question is, when students are falling out because they need some more support, what are the support systems within, these programs?
So for world language, I know our teachers are very, I think the biggest shift is there's a big focus on CI, on comprehensible input. So I think one of the focuses that they've done is, I think, immersing them into these real life experiences. But I know each of them in their own respective content areas do provide support. I know that, shifting to the block schedules at the secondaries, for example, does allow for just that extended time to be able to work with students. And so I know within each of their classes, I know that they integrate those supports during that time period as well. If any of you are wanting to explain further, you absolutely can.
Well, thank you for that question. In all our classes, one of the supports we have is also through immersive readers. So we're building an online library which will provide any additional assistance that we will need to give to our students. And of course, that will help us know what we're gonna do in terms of informing our instruction and cater to whatever needs the student need at that time. Of course, we want to keep it relevant and interesting because that's what we strive in doing in our classrooms.
So am I okay to assume that you're also doing small group instruction in your classes?
Oh, yeah. In terms of different teaching styles, we love the social interaction. And this focuses on collaboration, collaborative. And so we have a lot of activities that cater for interpersonal exchange in terms of interpreting, in terms of critical discussion, etc., because that is what makes language live. Language is not writing, it's first of all speaking. And so the students have to have this opportunity of exchanging information based on what we have taught them, and then they have to use their critical thinking to show that they can solve problems. It's not because we're teaching languages. We have the same goal to make sure that our students are ready to face the world. And I may add with the digital component, our textbooks really cater for that. And we're moving on with AI. I know it's still a problem, but we're doing that too. Thank you.
Wonderful.
And just to add to that, I mean, the framework really calls in those 15 shifts. It is really addressing, I think the biggest piece is that before it was a very traditional model where it was the teacher just giving instruction and there was really no stopping. Really now it's very student-centered, taking into account the differentiation that's needed to address students' needs.
Okay, perfect.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Because my student just finished their AP exam, and they told me that, you know, we do carousel, so it's like student talking to each other, the interactive. She said that really helps them because language should start from speaking, and then other things follows.
Yes, thank you so much for that. So here, the seal by literacy, I just want to confirm, is this the only way that a student can get that seal by literacy?
No, so students can also take other exams. So, well, that is the basic criteria, but they can take other exams that are listed. So either the AP exams through coursework. There are other special exams like the IB exams, but those are usually through an IB school system. And then there's other certification exams that students could take to meet the other language requirement as well.
So they don't necessarily have to go through our, you know,
Our world language, program, they do not necessarily.
Do our students know that?
We've done a better job of communicating that. So I know that at the school sites, last year we received posters for each of our world language classrooms. They're in each of our counselors' offices. They're in the counseling office just in general. They're posted all over the place. So in terms of communicating the requirements, we have done a better job of communicating that to students. I know that the world language teachers really pride themselves in communicating that. And there also has been a big shift in world language department in terms of ensuring that students continue through that 4-year sequence, whether it's for 4 years or that they get through AP and pass the AP exam to meet that 4-year equivalency.
Okay, perfect. And I'm assuming parents also are involved in this process too.
Absolutely, yeah, they are.
Okay. Thank you so much for answering all my questions. Great presentation. Thanks.
Sure.
Clerk Critchfield.
Thank you, Madam President. Question, how much of, so I think we talk a lot about our students being global citizens, and I think it's, yeah, I spent some time in Europe, and most countries in Europe require at least 2 foreign, well, you got 4? Is it 4? I mean, yeah, 4 languages. I know when I spoke to people, it was a requirement of at least 2 languages, foreign languages they had to speak. And I feel like we kind of struggle in knowing like the cognitive benefits, especially at an earlier age of a bilingual education. And I love the work that we're doing with our dual immersion. But what is the requirement of, do they have to learn one, or is it all elective?
Are you for world language to be in world language, or?
Yeah, like, because I know we have like the biliteracy, designation for students, and we're always trying to get that up. But do other districts, or is there a reason why we don't just require proficiency in another language?
So we will be looking at our graduation requirements and aligning it more to our A through G requirements, so that way it really addresses that component. Right now, our graduation requirements do require either world language, fine arts, or CTE as one of the requirements, but that is something that we are looking to address in the future to ensure that students are college and career ready, should that be their choice. I know that both schools have kind of shifted that way anyway in terms of practice and enrolling students in world language starting in the 9th grade to really set them up on that trajectory, even if they have not signed up for it. A lot of our students do sign up for it in middle school, so if they haven't already started, the practice now is to register them into a world language starting in the 9th grade, and really the extended schedule, the 8 periods, really allows that to happen starting in the 9th grade.
Cool, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you so much. We appreciate your presentation. Colleagues, I know we have LCAP coming. Do you guys want to take a short break, 5 to 10 minutes? All right, we're going to take a short break, about 5 to 10 minutes at 7:51. All right. This board meeting will reopen into open session at 8:06. And we're going to continue on with our discussion items. And we're on to 12.3, review of the proposed LCAP 2526 Local Control and Accountability Plan. Mrs. Acevedo.
Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Carter, who's going to walk us through the updated LCAP.
Thank you. This evening, I'll be providing you some foundational information regarding the LCAP and the process we have engaged in this year to review and collect input for possible revisions. Before we review the document itself, and to support you with knowing the requirements of the LCAP, I'll be sharing how the state LCAP template is formatted. It's important to keep in mind that annually the state updates the instructions, updating the LCAP requirements, and this year is no different, as there has been some changes that continue to increase accountability and the compliance included in the LCAP template this year. The LCAP is the district's plan for student improvement and is the guiding document for schools as they develop their school plans. This plan, along with the California School Dashboard, were developed as accountability tools in response to the local control funding formula that was signed into law in 2013. Although only the LCFF funds are required to be included in the plan and aligned to expenditures, we include a majority of our funding sources in an attempt to provide the community with the best picture of how our funding is allocated. Structurally, the LCAP must include goals, actions, and related expenditures. New this year are proposed expenditures to expend Learning Recovery Block Grant funding. The goals and actions included in the plan must target support for student groups listed and must align to the 8 state priorities that are listed on this slide as well. LCAPs are developed to be implemented over 3 years. This year is the end of the first of the 3-year plan. Throughout the year, we have met with educational partners to solicit input and identify priorities based on their feedback. This slide references the current section of the LCAP timeline, wherein we met with all educational partner groups to review the LCAP survey results and solicit input. On May 15th, we met with these groups to review the draft LCAP and solicited final input from these groups. After tonight, the public will have an opportunity to provide written comment or participate in the public hearing on June 12th, and the final version of the LCAP will be brought to the June 18th meeting for final approval. The first part of the LCAP includes an LCAP summary, which describes the demographics and information about our district. We currently have approximately 9,600 students across 15 schools, with approximately 79% of our students meeting the criteria for unduplicated students, which means that those students are either English learner, foster youth, or low income. Students may qualify in more than one of those categories. However, the percentage references the unduplicated count of students meeting the criteria. At the time this data was collected in October, almost 18% of students qualified for special education services, and close to 16% of students were English learners. This slide shows at a high level overview of the LCAP, showing that the LCAP has 4 goals, 27 actions, and each goal is supporting one or more of the 8 state priorities. As we review the revisions made based on feedback of educational partners, it is important for us to ground ourselves in what our beliefs and goals are as a district. All groups and individuals have input and ideas that are based on their personal experiences, which can vary widely between people and groups. One way to help us have a similar lens when thinking about and sharing ideas for improvement is to remind ourselves of our district vision, mission, and core values. Decisions that we make as a district should emphasize our belief in equity, achievement, and community. Our current vision reminds us that BUSD produces globally competitive learners, and our unified purpose is to build futures for students to compete in a diverse world. At the beginning of this year, the superintendent and board established goals that connected to the LCAP. When reviewing these goals, it's important for us to reflect on what has been accomplished or is in progress. This summer, modern flexible seating will be provided to some of our classrooms district-wide. PBIS training continued this year, as were SEL services or social emotional learning services. Coach Rudy's Finding the Calm training was offered to all, and conscious discipline training was provided to early childhood and transitional kindergarten teams. Wellness centers were maintained and standards-aligned instruction continued. Providing relevant learning opportunities is still an area of needed focus. However, there are some sites that are providing this type of instruction. Foundational work has been done to ensure that all of our secondary sites will offer college credit courses next year, with Mayfair starting an early college cohort and Las Flores and Somerset offering counseling dual enrollment courses that help students build college readiness skills. Las Flores is also focusing on developing a pathway for students to earn a California Law Certificate, and Somerset students will be piloting a professional soft skills dual enrollment course in the spring. We have 2 sites with a parent resource center, one of which is still in the development process for next year, and because of the contract that Dr. Smith brought forward to bring Factor to our district, we've had an increased opportunity for our parents to access workshops. Translation and interpretation services have continued and have been added to our board meeting live stream. Personnel is working on a plan to fill the instructional assistant vacancies. Combos at the elementary level were not implemented this year, and middle school assistant principals were hired to help provide focused support for our middle school population. Analyzing whether implementing advisory at the secondary is still under consideration. However, in the meantime, a voluntary transfer process has been developed to provide students with alternative options for enrollment. And in an effort to accelerate learning, 2 programs that are aligned to SBAC claims and targets and LPAC domains are currently being piloted at select schools to determine effectiveness of the programs. The advisory groups also developed a draft definition of a Bellflower graduate to help maintain a focus for the input provided to our overall plan. As we go through the LCAP this evening, I'll be sharing the priorities that were identified by advisory groups individually and overall. As funding is finite, in order to increase in one area, there will need to be a decrease in another. We did ask our advisory groups to prioritize actions in the LCAP. You'll notice as we share the priorities that each group has different experiences that shape their perspective and input provided. Although not all of the input may be incorporated into the LCAP, identifying the themes of the input helps inform any revisions or changes that may be made. We do need to keep in mind that not many changes to the plan are expected to be made, as we are currently in the first year of this 3-year plan, and the level of consistency with which we implement our plan impacts our effectiveness of outcomes. This slide shows the priorities of the individual advisory groups for Goal 1. On the right side of the slide, you can see that for this goal, the top priorities for each group are a bit different. However, the most supported actions for all groups was safety and custodial maintenance and behavior support. For this goal, LCAP survey data revealed that there is a high agreement that there are clear rules and procedures in place at schools, and the community is engaged regarding school safety issues. However, the data also suggests there should be an increased focus on effectively handling student discipline and ensuring facilities are clean. Among the groups completing the survey, behavior management is ranked high, and student connectedness and sense of belonging is low, with 59% and 63% of students agreeing respectively that they are connected to school or that they feel like they belong. This is a summary of the input provided by all groups, referencing areas in the LCAP that groups felt should be maintained and possible areas of focus. For Goal 2, the overall themes for the groups were to continue to provide supplemental academic support and professional development. For this goal, the LCAP survey revealed that professional development is supported, and there is a clear vision of strategies teachers use during instruction, that there should be an increase in training for technology use and opportunities for teachers to observe effective teaching. The survey also revealed that more information regarding college career opportunities should be provided to students at an earlier age. This is a summary of input from Goal 2. From our advisory groups. For Goal 3, the priority is parent communication. The summary of input is referenced on the right of the slide. The LCAP survey revealed that there is a high agreement that the community and parents feel welcome to participate at school and their concerns are responded to in a timely manner. It also revealed that people get information from the website and more people get information from Instagram than Facebook. So I'm going to give our team a minute to bring the LCAP up. And what I'm going to do from here is go through the LCAP to give you an idea of what's been updated, but also give you an idea of the format of the LCAP so that if you have questions in the future, you'll be able to reference those. So I'm going to start off on page 1, and I'll let you know what pages I go to or paragraphs I'm at. And if you need me to stop because we're not on the same page, just let me know. Okay, so since the posting of this LCAP, we've been able to provide an updated document, which you have, that includes projected allocations for each goal for next year. These numbers are preliminary as sites and departments are still finalizing their proposed budgets for next year. Starting on page 1. Revisions were made to update the demographics included in the general information section of the plan. Moving to page 3, this continues to provide information about our core values and vision and mission in paragraph 1. The remaining paragraphs on page 3 and 4 describe the critical components of the LCAP and each goal. On page 4, paragraph 3, the priority areas for the 25-26 school year are listed. These priorities were informed by the highlighted priorities that we just reviewed on the previous slide deck. Towards the middle of page 4, this also includes the annual performance descriptions. You'll notice there is a description for the 2024 and the 2023 dashboard. As this is a 3-year plan, we're required to keep the description of performance for the 2023 dashboard, as the outcomes included in this section are the basis for the creation of the 3-year plan, and actions and metrics are connected to these outcomes and will remain for the duration of the plan. In comparison to 2023 dashboard, there were less schools on the 2024 dashboard with student groups earning red in math, college, career, and suspension indicators. No schools earned red on the suspension indicator. However, there were more student groups overall earning red in the area. On page 5, this page includes a description of the proposed plan for spending learning recovery grant funds. A needs assessment was completed to identify needs for the 25-26 school year, wherein school site outcomes were analyzed in the areas of ELA, math, and chronic absenteeism, and whether or not schools identified as high need were improving. If schools were improving, they will not be targeted for support. There was no schools that met the criteria in all 3 areas. However, 5 schools were identified for support in English language arts, 4 schools for math, and 2 schools for absenteeism. As a district, long-term English learners and students with disabilities were identified as student groups needing additional support. This paragraph references the goals and actions that were revised to provide additional support to these schools and to these student groups. On the bottom of this page, you will see it says Reflections Technical Assistance. In this description, which continues on the next page, it discusses that annually, based on the California School Dashboard, schools and districts are identified for additional support for district, county, or state. We were identified for differentiated assistance for specific student groups in the area of pupil achievement, college career readiness, and suspension rate. Although these areas either maintained or improved on the dashboard, different student groups were identified in those areas. A summary of the current and future focus for improvement is included in this section. In the area of ELA, coaching and professional development was provided for Fast Forward, the platform targeted to support English learners and students with disabilities in literacy improvement. Administrators were participating in the Science of Reading training through LACO, and TK through third grade teachers will receive the training next year. And additional training is being provided on the core instructional materials in an effort to support high quality instruction in English language arts, Spanish language arts for dual immersion, and English language development for all. Math intervention tools continue to be utilized. However, an analysis of the effectiveness of the tools used in the upper elementary and middle grades is being conducted, and a pilot for Next Gen Math, which is the platform that Compton utilized and is aligned to the rigor of the state test, has started with a few elementary sites and will continue next year to determine the effectiveness of the platform and whether implementation should be expanded. To support improvement in the area of suspension rate, implicit bias training was provided, and if approved, there will be an emphasis on building positive climate and culture through implementation of Capturing Kids' Hearts training. Additional and more timely professional development for staff to understand and support our foster youth population will also be provided by our Child Welfare and Attendance Office next year. As previously mentioned, there has been and will continue to be a focus on increasing dual enrollment opportunities for our students to support them with graduating prepared college and career. Also being provided next year is additional training for our counselors with implementing a 4-year plan for all incoming freshmen, and communication efforts about our career technical pathway options will be increased next year. Annually, schools are identified for assistance. This year, 3 schools exited assistance in comparison to last year, and 2 schools remained. These schools have collaborated with their school communities to identify and revise actions of areas of need and have made those changes to their school plans. On page 7, this describes how educational partners were engaged throughout the year to review and provide input to the plan, and page 8 describes how this input influences the revisions to the plan. As we review the goals and actions, I'll highlight these areas that are referenced on this page. So starting on page 9, this is goal 1, and the format of the LCAP is that there's a description of the goal, and then the metrics are listed after that are used to determine effectiveness. It's important for us to keep in mind that the metrics in this plan were established last year when the 3-year plan was developed. The year 1 outcomes include data from last year, as that's the most recent information available for some metrics. For example, state test scores included in the plan are from last spring, as we're at the end of our testing season this year. Although we review the LCAP annually to monitor our progress toward meeting our goals, actions and services planned last year were meant to be implemented for 3 years prior to making major changes, as it takes time to see results with consistent implementation. This year, the far right column has been added. It's calls current difference from baseline. And so what you see there is the difference between the baseline and the year 1. Overall, for goal 1, approximately 62% of the metrics maintained or improved in comparison to the baseline. After the metrics, which is about page 13, and I'm not going to go over most of these metrics because they were part of our mid-year review, and you've had the document before. There were not too many updates to those since that mid-year review. So on page 13, this section describes this is the goal analysis, and you're going to see this after each goal that we have. And it's broken down into 4 areas where we look at were there any differences in comparisons to actions, and we need to explain material differences in budgets versus actual expenditures, effectiveness of actions, and then descriptions of any changes that are going to be made moving forward. So you'll see that goal analysis after every goal. Starting on page 14, these are the actions that are listed for goal 1. There are 5 columns for each action that includes the number of the action, a short description, proposed funding, and whether the action is identified as one that will support increased and improved services for our unduplicated students. So you'll see that pattern throughout what I'll be doing is not go over that pattern again, but then go into each action that has any revisions. Action 2. This has been revised in reference to prioritizing target schools for additional instructional support and providing high-impact tutoring for sites as well. Although personnel is working to streamline the process for hiring aides by reviewing and revising job descriptions and reaching out to colleges and the high schools to advertise job opportunities. As it was difficult to hire these positions this year, we are looking to support with high-impact tutoring, utilizing the Learning Recovery Funds. Action 5 will continue to increase security and custodial efforts and was revised to include reviewing work order flow and prioritization of projects. We are working with Black Knight, who will be working with the sites to develop a comprehensive safety plan, and the District Safety Committee is looking at a variety of other resources and services, which you talked about a little bit tonight. At the bottom of that page, although Action 8 was not revised, it is a priority, and PBIS professional development will continue with an increased focus on developing site discipline procedures and practices, as well as a focus on improving climate and culture district-wide. Moving along to page 16 is where Goal 2 begins. Approximately 56% of the metrics maintained or improved for Goal 2. And as you move through those metrics and get to page 21, this is where the goal analysis section starts for Goal 2. On page 23, so starting to look at the actions and updates or highlights, looking at Action 3, this was updated to support expansion of math and long-term English learner intervention at targeted schools. Over the last few months, Washington and Mayfair have been piloting Summit K-12, a program that supports long-term English learners and newcomers with additional practice aligned to English language proficiency exam. We have received positive feedback so far and will be expanding the pilot to 3 more identified sites. Also, 3 sites recently embarked on a math pilot of NextGen, the platform aligned to the rigor of the state test, and we've received positive feedback regarding student outcomes for that so far as well, and will expand based on site need. Action 5 is on page 23. This updates with a reference to looking into additional math expanded learning opportunities so we can try to bring some real-world math experiences to our students in the after-school programs. Page 24. Action 6 was updated to include professional development planned next year to support English learners and students with disabilities through implementation of select GLAD strategies. The focus for this professional development will be grades 4 through 8. Also, next year, professional development on the updated math framework will be provided to support future adoption of the math instructional materials. Although not specifically called out in the action, professional development to increase knowledge about AI is being planned for the Summer Institute and throughout the year, as next year a focus on developing guidance and use policy practices will be implemented. Action 7 was updated to reference the expansion of dual enrollment courses, maintains a focus on implementation of AVID, improves communication and articulation of career technical pathways aligned to core content, and supports counselors with refining practices for supporting students with course selection and goals and implementation of college guidance initiatives that help students identify their interests and investigate college and career options. It's proposed that a counselor on special assignment support the expansion efforts in this area to help support us with college career readiness for next year. Page 25. Action 9 was updated to support paying the cost of AP exams and implementing PSAT and SAT prep courses for students. This action also supports the implementation of STEAM or science, technology, engineering, arts, and math activities that are happening at sites currently in isolation. It will be a focus to support increased resources for sites to work towards integration of these activities. Although Action 10 was not revised, this action still remains a focus for additional support next year. Our coordinator of multilingual and dual immersion services has and will continue to support dual immersion programs at both ILC and Mayfair Middle next year. This year, teachers and administrators were able to visit showcases, schools in San Diego, received Maravillas instructional materials training, as well as English language development training. They recently participated in a vertical alignment meeting focused on transition from 6th grade to middle school, and they visited a local dual immersion middle school program that incorporates dual enrollment classes as part of their pathway. In collaboration with the Secondary Ed Department and Cerritos College, we're working toward implementing dual enrollment opportunities for our students as well. Next year, we will be looking to provide coaching for the sites to support collaboration around instructional practices and improving instructional program articulation. On page 26, this is where we begin goal 3. Approximately 78% of the metrics showed improvement for this goal. Although not included in the plan last year, as we had just established the PIO position and were determining engagement metrics, we are monitoring engagement metrics for both Facebook and Instagram. If possible, these metrics will be added to the plan and will be monitored throughout the year and included in the annual update section of the LCAP. There has been an increase in Facebook and Instagram followers in comparison to last year. 11,000 content interactions on Facebook and 27,900 interactions on Instagram have occurred. 91% of the views are for Instagram or are organic, and 9% come from ads, whereas 81% of views are organic on Facebook and 19% come from ads. A YouTube channel has been created with 335 hours of content with over 4,600 average views and over 130,000 impressions or clicks on content. There are currently 2 archive videos on the channel that combined have 586 views. Part of this goal is also parent engagement, and to support that, the educational opportunities provided by sites through Factor and Family Literacy Project will continue next year, and the enrollment campaigns and communication efforts will also continue. Although not an update to the actions, additional support was provided to our dual immersion program this year during enrollment, which has resulted in an additional TK classroom being added to ILC, resulting in 3 classes projected for next year for TK. Also, to support meeting the needs of the whole child next year, we will be investigating expansion of community schools within our district. Page 30. Goal 4 starts on page 30 with a description and explanation of the goal. The only changes made to this description is the removal of Las Flores Home Independent Study Academy, as they no longer qualify for the funding. The metrics for this goal show approximately 67% of the metrics listed meeting or maintaining, improving. The actions for this goal will remain the same in order to support continuity and consistent implementation of these services. On page 34, this is the start of the Increased and Improved Services section of the LCAP, where the actions that are designated to support unduplicated services are described. Changes to this section consisted of updated metrics in the Identified Needs section and additional information in the 3rd column relating to effectiveness. These services will continue to be monitored for the remainder of the 3-year plan. And finally, on page 36, this identifies additional funds that we receive due to our high population of unduplicated students, and it references the additional personnel, including instructional and behavior aides. This section was modified to update the percentages by school sites. And if we can take a minute and go back to the slide deck for the final slide, I'll let you know what the approval timeline is for the LCAP. This slide identifies the timeline after tonight. Oh, we were right there. Okay. So this timeline shows you that in the beginning of June, the LCAP will be posted for the public to provide public written comment if they so choose. An updated LCAP will be posted for the June 12th public hearing where the public may provide comments regarding the LCAP, and the finalized LCAP will be posted and brought to the board for approval on June 18th. The county has until August 15th to approve our LCAP. However, they may decide to ask for clarifications regarding any portion of the LCAP, and if they do, you see the timeline there, and there are responsibilities if that happens. And the final deadline for approval would be October 25th. And that concludes the presentation for the updates to and revisions to the LCAP.
Mrs. Carter, before I open it up to my colleagues, I just wanted one clarification question. It was on the percentages that we maintained or improved on each of the goals. I got 3 of them. I know goal 1 we improved or maintained 62%, goal 2 was 56%, and goal 4 was 65%. Can you tell me the goal 3 percentage that we maintained or improved?
Yep, I believe it was about 78%.
Okay.
Give me just a second. Goal 4 is 67, and goal 3 is 78.
And was I right, 62% and 56% on the other 2?
56 is goal 2.
62 in the first one?
You got it.
Okay, awesome. Okay, colleagues, any questions? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start. My first question is, goal 3, I know we've done really well in this goal, 78%. We've had some major changes, but just one comment is that we definitely want to get parent input before we make some major changes. And I would just suggest that, like, obviously with some of the changes we're making recently, we should talk to parents before and be a little bit more proactive. One question I had, I know we had talked about a TK to 3 BEST program at Washington. Is there any discussion on that, and where are we at with that program?
I'll defer to Ms. Agua.
Yes, we're currently planning for a program. It's an alternative to a BEST because we're trying to keep it within the gen ed programming. So we're currently working on the pilot program to launch for next school year.
Okay. And will that be at Washington?
Yes, that's the plan.
Okay, awesome. I'm sorry? We have a 4-6 BEST program there, so we would just plan on doing the first, or is it 1 through 3, or is it K through 3?
So right now what we're trying to do is we're trying to focus on our younger elementary kiddos because that's where we're having a lot of difficulties.
Right.
So we're trying to be proactive and preventing the special education identification. So we're focusing on a gen ed programming for our younger TKK students, possibly 1 as well.
Okay. One thing that I've noticed in these goals is one, major thing that we're trying to do is improve our climate and culture. Can you guys tell me why we are eliminating the deans of climate and culture at our high schools, and what was the rationale behind that?
So one of the things that we considered was the new addition of the assistant principals and the job duties currently being done by the deans of climate and culture, and the job duties that would be done by those middle school assistant principals, and determining if those job duties would then overlap. So there was a thought that possibly the particular duties that were being done by the deans of climate and culture, because they focused so much on attendance and some of the discipline issues, that it could be distributed amongst the assistant principals.
Okay, and I love that. I think I've heard really good feedback on our APs, but I also would like to reiterate that our deans of climate and culture are supposed to be there to improve our climate and culture. And I do understand that attendance and behavior is part of that, but there's a lot more that I think we can do to utilize. So I hope that when we're talking with our APs, that we try to brainstorm and collaborate so that we can come up with some great ideas for them as well. I'm gonna go ahead and save some, and I'm gonna go ahead and pass it off to Clerk Critchfield.
Thank you, Madam President. Question, when you're reading the social media analytics, I don't see that on my paper with the YouTube and the Looks like you had different
Yeah,
data.
they're not added on to those metrics yet because I'll need to add them on as a draft. So they're in the presentation now, and if I can get it into the next draft that you guys will see, you'll have them. But I can provide them to you.
So this isn't the current draft. This is
No, you have the current draft that we provided to DAG PAC. Those metrics were not part of Goal 3, and so they weren't able to be added in there. But when we're building, when we're adding the new, if we can add the new metrics for next year, we'll add them in there. I'll talk with LACO about that, and if not, I'm going to include them in the annual update section so we continue to monitor those as we go forward.
okay. So you already have ideas for additional goals for.
All of those metrics that I said are things that we're going to monitor moving forward that we've have for this year, and then we'd monitor moving forward.
Okay. Yeah. So would we be removing some like with this? Do you remove goals? Because I mentioned last year about the just starting an account for Instagram should not be a 3-year goal. It's a 10-minute goal. And the response I got was noted.
Mm-hmm.
And it still made its way into this one. So are we going to keep it? Because I understand I'm just one board member, but when it's something that makes sense, and that obviously made sense, it didn't seem to like make it into the LCAP.
It is in the LCAP. It's
Right.
it's updated as it being 15 out of 15. So let me clarify to see what I think you're asking me, and that is if we've hit it, would we remove it out as a metric? Is that what you're asking me? Because
Yeah.
it's not removed out; it's still there.
No, I know it's still there, and it's a goal that was very easy to hit.
To meet.
So would it be something that would be removed, and we would put a new goal in?
We wouldn't necessarily remove it out because it's a 3-year plan. We'd leave it there. But if we have another metric that we want to monitor, that would be input that you could provide or advisory could provide, or we could add in there. So that one's going to stay because it's got to stay there for the 3-year plan. But if we want other metrics to look at,
So at what point does this board see the final, these are the modifications that we're going to have? Is that at the next meeting?
this is the meeting where you would provide us input, and then that final draft is going to go out before June to the public for private comment.
Okay. Another question. So I'd noticed the CTE pathways decreased from 17.5% to 13.3%. Do we have a good idea of why? I know this is kind of, what's it called, lag data? But do we know what happened there?
Clerk Kershaw, what page are you on? I'm sorry.
Sorry, this is on,
It's right at the bottom.
I'm looking at this though.
It's on page 20.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So we started off with 17.4% of our graduates completing the pathway, and now we have 13.3%. I don't have a definitive answer for you. I know that we do definitely have less students, and so the ratios would change. It's not too much of a difference. That is one of the things that we're looking at when we're for next year. When we look at our graduation rate as well, is CTE pathway completion.
Is that something that where those CTE course, I know a lot of them are provided for by CalApps. Would like the programming in CalApps affect kind of how that goal would kind of roll out, or no?
That metric, no, it wouldn't change because it's a course, the pathway that they're completing.
Right. Okay. One more before I throw it back. So I'm curious because I think it's come up before when reclassification. So for English learners, I know our reclassification data seemed to go up, but then the proficiency for English learners went down. Is that one of those statistical things where when you reclass, you kind of it's going to have that effect? Is that what we're seeing?
Yes and no. So basically, yeah, the reclassification did increase, and when you're reclassifying a student, they're that high level, so they're going to now be out of the testing environment. So our proficiency could go down. One thing to think about with our reclassification as well is we made a concerted effort in that. So we're still stabilizing what that will look like moving forward because it's high now.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask a few more questions because I don't see too many. I had a question on the limiting of combo classes. I believe that was the same wording we used last year, even though we didn't have combo classes. I've had a few questions. Are we having combo classes? Just to clarify, we are still trying to limit them as much as possible, correct?
Absolutely.
And do you know how many we had this year? Did we have any this year?
I believe it was 0.
Okay, so that's the goal for next year, but we just, okay. Another question I had was about tutoring. I noticed that we have focused on 5 sites for tutoring, prioritizing the instructional support and the high demand at those. Is there still a push to do tutoring on all campuses? I know when we were in Washington, we were talking about this, and I know I'm the one that's always preaching tutoring and teachers doing their own tutoring, but they were just talking, at our conference about how this is so important. And I still don't think that the teachers really understand that we push it. What can we do to improve, or can you give us your ideas on what we're doing for tutoring this year, just specifically tutoring?
Well, we're going to continue paper tutoring because there has been a continued increase in that. We will continue to advertise it, and we'll continue to help teachers know the benefits of that. We do know that we have some teachers that really access it, utilize it in their class, utilize it for papers to be looked at and given feedback before it's turned into them, and utilize it for the reading and math challenges, some of the new things that are happening. So we're going to continue with that next year and try to continue to increase our use of that. What we're looking at is we have high dosage tutoring that we're doing for expanded learning this year. So our Summer Academy, we're sort of piloting there. So what we've done is we have our Think Together staff, and we are training them in the programs that they are going to be utilized in Summer Academy. And I think that's the piece that we were sort of missing in the past, was training our tutors to work on a certain content program or a thing that the teacher needs. So what we are looking at, and we're looking to connect with Compton as well, is see if we can bring that high impact tutoring into the school day versus just after hours.
As basically a type of intervention?
It's like an intervention. So you would have a trained person in your classroom being able to support you with that.
I would really like the next time that we send this out to teachers about tutoring or ELOP or any of those, if you could please copy the board on it. I would really like to see what we're saying to them, because I still don't understand why more people aren't taking us up on that opportunity. I know we've talked about it. We talk about it all the time, but I'm not understanding why they're not utilizing that. So I would like to see how much the pay is for the tutoring after school via ELOP, who signed up for ELOP, and what we're communicating with our teachers that they just don't understand why they should not, or why they should do it. I don't get it still.
I can tell you the last time that we talked about this at the board meeting, we pushed another push out for the after-school courses, right? So that's the course that you could be doing intervention, or you could be doing a passion project, whatever it is. And there was an increase. So more teachers did, and I should have given you an update, sorry. But there were more teachers that did participate in that and take advantage of that. So hope that helps.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Vice President Garza.
Thank you, Madam President. My question is off of page 14, action number 8, positive behavior interventions and supports. So most teachers are implementing this during their school day, but what types of supports do you have for our students who don't really have any, this doesn't work for? What are we doing for those teachers? Are we helping them? Are we giving them different strategies? Is there a different program? What's the thought?
Well, I'll answer and then I'll defer to Ms. Ulloa. PBIS is at all of our schools. It is a process, though, not necessarily a program, as you fully know. And what we are looking at is trying to be more concrete about what those discipline policies, practices, procedures are, what those tiers are. They've had training this year, but we are looking at possibly updating that training for next year so that they're looking at sort of discipline policies and practices and are all in alignment. You want to add to that in anything?
Sorry, that's exactly what we're planning on expanding. We've done a lot of work towards PBIS, but we want to kind of take it to the next level in aligning procedures and expectations.
So are you going to be giving them something new that they haven't had before, or is it just a refresher course? Because I mean, I've been taking PBIS since I was employed here, and you're still doing it. So I'm wondering what is going to change now?
You want me to? What we're looking at is the possibility of looking into Safe and Civil Schools, which is an organization that is very well known and very structured, and will be supportive in helping the school sites come to those commitments about what it is that they're doing on their campus, whether that be the same interventions, the same rules, the same expectations in the same areas. And those are all things that we've been looking at in our PBIS trainings before. Our idea, though, is that this organization will help us really have a solid system for our schools moving forward. So that's what we're looking into for the next year and the following years.
And as part of that Safe and Civil, are you going to request that they look at what do they do, or what is their process for students that, because it only works for about 75% of the students, but the other 25%, what are we doing for them? What do we do for the kids who are chucking things at teachers? And me, that's me right now. So what do we do for them?
And again, I'll defer to you, but I believe that that's what this is going to help us do, because you're talking about Tier 3, but if we don't have our Tier 2 in place, we don't have a positive behavior contract in place that we're working and we're looking at data consistently, then we're going to have a harder time with Tier 3. So you want to add into that?
Yeah, so we are looking at additional supports throughout the district. Again, the program that I mentioned earlier, that's exactly the focus that we want to have, is we want to focus on the students who are having those really disruptive behaviors. So developing a program that will support them, but also in addition to that, having staff that will assist throughout the schools, not just where we're having that program, to deal with those more severe escalated behaviors. And you'll see that coming through later.
And that the program you're talking about is the TKK BEST program?
We're not calling it BEST because we're focusing on the proactive, preventative. So you'll see it coming through. We're working on the planning right now and planning to launch next year. So you'll see more information coming through on that.
So I'm going to have some follow-up questions right now. Is that okay? With that. So are we going to be then, I'm thinking in my mind, we're going to have new people who are part of this team that are going to travel around.
Did you have something you wanted to add?
No, I would just suggest, I know that we're focusing on our younger students, but you also have implemented a brand new procedure and process for admin transfer for our older students. So I would also, I know right now we're focused on primary, but at some point we need to talk about those older students as well.
Yes. So yes, in addition, we do have some additional staff that we're looking at, specialized supports. What we're looking at, we're not looking just at the behavior, we're also looking at the mental health component. So we'll be working with a capacity grant that we just got to implement those supports.
And that will be coming out of that same pocket of money?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Before I pass to Clerk Critchfield, I want to say it's really exciting. I'm on my Safe and Civil team, and it really is building procedures, and it concentrates on really the focus of the main students, and then you have that top tier, which is your 5%, I think they say, but it's really where we have a cohort on my at my school, and there's 8 of us, and you have administrators, security guards, secretaries, teachers. It's a combination of all different employees, and you basically make the procedures and protocols and stick with them. Like this year, we're focusing for next year on our discipline, how teachers are writing and sending students up. And so it really gives you guidelines. I really enjoy it. I've been doing it for a long time. So I'm excited that you guys are exploring it. I think it's a really good program. Clerk Critchfield.
Thank you, Madam President. So I believe last year we were talking a lot about hiring our own aides and the difficulties in that hiring. But I noticed on the summary of input for Goal 1, we put provide consistent instructional aid support, possibly modify the support due to difficulty hiring. So does that mean we're not going down that route that we've talked about of like hiring our own aides? And really the question is, what do we need to do to fix that?
Thank you for that. That section of the PowerPoint is input from our stakeholders. So what they were saying, they were actually giving suggestions of modifications. We're still looking at hiring our own aides, but they were giving suggestions such as maybe prioritize who gets the aides. Maybe TKK gets, an aide for every classroom, but first and second, maybe they get 3 and they split them across the first and second grades. That was some of the input they were giving, so that's what that means. As far as what we're planning to do, we're fully planning to or expecting to hire our own instructional aides. And our personnel division, Dr. Olmos, has been working diligently on that. He's also working on that other piece of that feedback was consistency. He's looking at trying to work on a sub-process as well so that can get filled. He is updating the job description. He's communicating with colleges, reaching out to the high schools. So he's looking at another platform to post the positions on something that other classifications might access more than EdJoin. So those are some of the things. Does that help?
Cool. Yeah, no, it definitely helps. And I know there was some talk like the pay for the aid. Sometimes it's less competitive, therefore like it's harder to get. Is that also something we're kind of looking at and doing the comparables to see if we're...
And I can defer to Dr. Smith, but I believe that's something that we look at, but we would have to look at the classification and the change in what it would need to be.
Okay. I know it's an ongoing process. I just want to make, it's so much talk. I know it's a lot of work and a lot of hurdles. And I appreciate, Dr. Olmos, Frank, the work you're doing. I just want to make sure that happens because I have heard people being afraid that we're going to actually contract out more when the hiring is difficulty, and people being afraid that we're actually going to lose our aides. So, people, they get afraid of things from time to time, but I just want to make sure we're still on the same path to really in-house that.
Can I jump in on that real fast? I had the same type of question on the instructional support. I know it's action 2. I was just a little confused by the writing of that. It says that we will provide additional instructional support to early grades to support the early literacy and math, but it says that there's really a focus at the 5 district schools. I know we had talked about placing them at all schools. Is that what you're talking about, of trying to divide and conquer and kind of, or how is that going to look?
No, that's a structural thing of the LCAP, so we are looking at them for all of our schools, but based on our data, we're required to target schools as priorities. So that's what that means.
Got it. And then is there any thought process of our half-time aides versus hiring some full-time aides?
So yes, that is something that we are taking a look at now, and Ms. Carter did a great job of kind of summarizing a lot of the things that we're doing to ensure that we move towards having all our own aides as opposed to agency. We're not interested in expanding agency usage and service. We want to have our own people with our students. We think that's what's best for the district, but we definitely think that's also what's best for students. It takes time to get us there. But to answer your specific question about this part, that is something that we're in the process of looking at with Ms. Ulloa, and also with our Executive Director of Classified Personnel, as well as Renee. We're also taking a look at potentially thinking through how we can also take, for example, the number of hours that those aides might work and potentially have some flexibility during the week So, there might be people that are interested in working longer hours, but they only want to be 3 days a week or something like that. So we're toying with a lot of different configurations to see what we can do to expand the pool of interested applicants. So this way it's not just the run-of-the-mill 3.5 hours with no benefits, that kind of thing. So we are working on all of that.
Okay, thank you for that. Clerk Hirschfeld.
Thank you. Just when the LCAP, the titles of these, are they standard? Is it like, because I just have it, like when we talk about number 5 under, I think, goal, I think it's 2, maybe, the safety and custodial operations and services, I just feel like oftentimes, even like with like our job titles and descriptions, like custodial and security are always like together. And in this role, in this item, it just makes it really hard. Like we have an increase of, from the last LCAP, increase of 2 million in that action. But it's like lumped in with, security, safety, technology, custodial and maintenance for facilities. It's just kind of like all mushed into one. So it's hard to say like what, and I would guess that like the budget would just be a clear like breakdown of that. But can you speak, is this standard?
I can speak to that. That is a general action, and so when the LCAP was developed, we did have custodial and security in the same bucket. If we move forward after our 3-year and we want to separate that out, we could do that. We could take input to have separate actions for that.
I feel like it would make sense. I think it's be considered. And actually, on the custodial part, I know last year we started to implement. I think was it Worker Dude, the software for the work order process. And
I'm going to defer to Ms. Arcus.
Okay. I was
Master
way
Library
off. Yeah.
using that was not Worker
Yeah.
Dude.
I think that's what we use at the college. It's similar. It's similar. But we implemented that last year, right?
Yes, we started using that system for all of our maintenance tracking work, and we're looking, into what other areas we might be able to expand that system into, or other systems too.
Okay. Thank you.
Colleagues, any other questions? Vice President Garza.
Page 12, number 17, chronic absenteeism rate. Where are we at right now? What types of resources are we placing in this area?
This is actually an area that has continued improvement, which is a good thing, and then also reality that our number is so high, so not a good thing. So the school sites have made a concerted effort in making additional phone calls and holding their meetings for attendance. The Child Welfare and Attendance Office, there's a couple of things that they're working on, and they are working on their SART and SARB process and what that process is going to look like moving forward. They're looking at trying to make sure that there's a meeting at the school site prior to the actual SARB process happening, sort of preventative, so that we can connect with the families, help them with resources before they get into the bucket of being chronically absent. And they are also working towards our foster youth in that area as well. We had some training come out this year, later in the year for LACO, and we included individuals on identification and supports for foster youth, and the Child Welfare and Attendance Office is looking to do that earlier in the year and expanding who they are going to bring in on that professional development. So it's not merely just administrators or counselors, but it could also include like our CSWs, because they are the first connect to our parents, registrars. So they're looking to expand that out a little bit.
Okay. And so then this would be falling into the lap of our APs now that we're no longer having the culture and climate people?
It would be administration. So at the secondary, whoever they're designating for that. At the elementary, it would be either the AP or the principal.
Okay, and teachers are part of this process as well, right? They have they're probably the first line, I'm assuming, to make that first contact with parents.
I would defer to Ms. Oua, but the teachers should be part of the process of interventions and supports. Do you want to add in?
So they are a part of the process in terms of the communication, and I know in terms of special ed teachers, we communicate with them on a regular basis as well so that we can hold amendments to address it also with teachers. So they are part of the communication piece, but a lot of it we work through counselors, site admin as well.
Maybe, is this also done for the general education students as well? Yes. Okay. So they're also, our conversation, what I'm looking for is maybe making sure that there is a well delineated process for teachers to go through so that way they understand this is what I do first, this is what I do next, have I turned this in already? Any type of maybe follow-up that has been done, are they logging it in somewhere? So that it's shown that these teachers have done their due diligence in logging in those contacts with parents.
And that's part of the PD that we're working on as well.
Okay, so it's not there yet, but you're developing it.
We're working on consistency and how we're doing those communications.
Thank you.
Clerk Critchfield.
Thank you, Madam President. When we're talking about the safety metrics, so I noticed that for our secondary students, students that feel safe at school went from 50.75 to 46, which I think is a shame because we really have tried to implement things and we have implemented some really good things. But if that's how they're feeling, I think it's a good and important metric. But in addition to that, I think what we would want to consider is some objective metric on incidences at our campuses. You know, we get daily memos and Friday, and seems to be, there's fluxes sometimes of incidences that are happening on our campus. I would love to have a year of data to see, like, if the things that we're putting in place really are having a positive effect on this. It would be really hard to tell with just, how students are feeling. I think that's an important metric, but there's got to be some, and I don't know what it is, but there's got to be some objective, maybe it's like, how many times have we been on lockdown this year? Let's get that number down. Or weapon incidences, or there's a lot of different metrics we could do. Maybe just find one of those metrics that are a consistent problem, and see if so we can see these investments that we do to see how we can get that number down. I would just like to see something with safety that has a more objective touch to it.
And maybe even like quarterly updates on our discipline, if they're putting them in, and I know we've been working on that, maybe getting the board like a quarterly or at least at worst case semester of what are kids being suspended for and where are we at with those different discipline, the consequences, the interventions, the things that we're doing. I think getting some discipline data would be really amazing.
Can I ask, Madam President, is that something that would be most appropriate in the LCAP, you think, Bonnie? Or is that something that would be aside, but or somewhere else? Where do you think that data should live?
I think that data is probably outside of the LCAP. We could look at maybe adding referrals into the LCAP, something like that, but I think you're talking a little bit more deep and detailed, looking at the types of suspensions and those sorts of things. So I would say that that's something that you probably would want an update on in your quarterly or semesterly update. But it should also be something that's happening at the school sites.
Right. Is that something that we can do as a board? Because I think we've talked about having those like annual updates on incidences on our sites, because it is hard to keep track and to know which direction we're going. Is that something that we could consider as a board to get like those annual, whether it's quarterly or annual?
I would love to see it because, in all honesty, I was having a discussion with Mrs. Acevedo the other day about just, do we have gang awareness in our schools? We used to have GRIP. We used to have all those things. Do we need it? I mean, that's the data that we want so that we can implement some of these things. Again, we're getting proactive and implement some of these assemblies or mentors or people in places that we need, but we don't really know what we need. So I think it would be great to do at least quarterly, if you guys are okay with that.
Myra, how do you feel?
I agree. It would be really helpful data as we go forward and making these big decisions, because at this point, I kind of feel like we're just throwing out solutions, but we're not sure exactly which ones are going to be helpful.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to track it.
Yes.
And it may be something that they can create or talk about and collaborate at the safety committee. What do we think would be the best data to get? You know, obviously we don't want all of it. There's not time enough to do all of it, but what might be those pieces that are really important that we should focus on?
I think that'd be great for the committee to go through and see which metrics, and I think that'd be great to have on the next safety committee meeting.
Board Member Armstrong?
Yeah, I just want to go back. Thank you, President Stewart. I just want to go back to the absenteeism, since it's, even though we've been making improvements, but it's still high. And I just talked to Ms. Alma about that. Is there some type of way that maybe just maybe you could see if there's a correlation with their attendance and with the way that they are performing in schools, in their classes? Because sometimes, I'm big on that mental health piece. But if we have a kid that's truly struggling, and those are the ones that are causing, in a sense, the chronic absences, and, like you say, we're seeing improvement, but it's not a big number. Find a correlation as to those particular students, how they're performing, and what interventions we could possibly provide for them. Because if we don't meet the students where they are, they're going to feel like no matter what they do, it's not good enough. And so school is not exciting to them. It's not a place that they want to go to if they're failing. And so look into some of the reasons why they are absent. Now, you guys know I'm early intervention teacher. Sometimes my kids are absent, but they're absent a lot because they're ill, or they may have appointments in different therapies. But if we have a student that's not performing and they have Fs, I wouldn't want to come to school either if I feel that why I'm failing. So thank you. So that's all I wanted to say. And, I already had a lot of my questions answered, but I wanted just to put that out so my colleagues can know what I'm thinking about.
Colleagues, any other questions? One thing I am excited about is to hear that the ILC is expanding and that those TK is going to grow, and that's pretty awesome. Another thing that I was going to bring it up during committees and I forgot, but we've talked about AI and we're looking at 21st century and things like that. I know we talked about starting an AI committee. I would really like to do that. Have we started? Have we thought about it? I don't want to step on your toes, but I would like to form a committee if you would like it to be a board committee. I definitely would like to start an AI committee or something where we're looking at that technology.
I can tell you where we're at, and then you can jump in. We had a team. We had a team that went to a conference, and we are looking to bring that team back. Timing with the end of the year sort of got in our way. But that's why we are also looking to collaborate with LACO. So we're going to bring the trainings and professional development to, we're looking to have a summer institute, so before the August 13th and 14th. So we're looking to bring some professional development there, but our secondary director is definitely putting together a team for next year so that we can work on guidance, policies, those kinds of things. So that's in the works for next year.
Okay, I don't want to step on toes, but I'm going to ask, because you guys know I'm going to ask, but if you guys create a committee, are board members allowed to be on that committee? Because I really would like to have 2 board members on that. That's something that's just future, it's up and coming, and I really would like board members on an AI type of committee. So would we have to form our own, or could we join yours, or Mr. Srega, or anybody? How would that work?
As a committee that wouldn't have necessarily an end date, and it'd be ongoing, it'd be a standing committee, basically subject to the Brown Act. 2 board members can serve on that committee, and it would just be perpetually going forward dealing with the issue until such time that new technology emerges and a different committee will need to be created.
So we would like to create that committee. Is that okay? I mean, I know you guys have a committee planned. How does that impact your plans? Let us.
Like all committees, if you would like to, the board would like to create one, you just give direction and staff will create the committee and
I
start
think I'm
scheduling.
asking more, if I say I want to create a committee, could we basically, I don't want to take over your committee, but collaborate with your committee, because we don't need two committees. I guess that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, you can combine the two if you want and have two board members on there.
Okay, so then can I do that now?
And it would still be a standing committee.
Okay, so I would like to create a standing committee for AI and technology. And
I would, if you're taking, I would like to be on that committee if
well, the
that's-
president appoints the committee members.
I'm just telling you, I would like,
So-
I would like to. I'm letting you know. And also, I would say, I don't know if, I know you mentioned like PD on AI, but I've been seeing a lot of Frank stuff on LinkedIn, and you're killing it with AI. I don't know how involved you are in that committee, but keep it up, man.
He's already offered to his services
I was
to the
gonna-
committee.
yeah.
Okay, so
Thank
we'd
you,
like
Dr.
him on the
Olmos.
committee and a few others on the committee.
I just want to put in there, you know what, if I could nominate somebody, I would nominate Brad.
I had already planned on it, but let's just leave Brad in his space right now. So I need a motion,
You gotta
yes?
feel sorry for me.
Motion and approval?
Yeah.
I would like to make a motion to form a AI and technology standing committee. Can I get a second?
You got a second?
Roll call, please.
Student Board Member Supnet?
Aye.
Ms. Armstrong?
Aye.
Ms. Cintron? Aye. Mr. Critchfield?
Aye.
Mrs. Garza?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye. And if you guys do not object, I would like to put Brad on the committee. And I would actually like to be on that committee if that's okay with you guys. Yes?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, do we need votes for that or no? Okay, so myself and Brad? Okay. All right, any other questions on LCAP, you guys? All right, moving along to major action. We have one major action item tonight, 13.1, the waiver of conflict of interest in legal representation of BUSD and CalAPS by Sorego Law. Do we have any questions or comments? Mr. Sorego.
So just wanted to make sure I advise the board. This waiver would be to allow me to provide legal services to CalAPS as well. One thing I would like to note is that if a conflict ever did arise, I would basically represent the district, and CalAPS would have to seek their own counsel. And there are certain situations where I'd be conflicted out of representing either party, at which point both parties would have to seek outside counsel for representation. And the most important part of any waiver is informed consent. So there was a letter attached. That letter outlines all the provisions of the waiver, and signature of the board would constitute informed consent.
Questions or comments? Vice President Garza.
Can you give me an example of when neither the board or the Board of Education or CalAPS board will be able to use your services?
So if I were to obtain confidential information regarding CalAPS, and then the two would come into conflict because of some incident that arose that ended in litigation, because I have that information about CalAPS, I would not be able to use that, and so I would be conflicted out of representing the district because I have that information, and so both would be required to get outside counsel.
Thank you.
Board Member Armstrong.
So could you give me some examples of how you would be used serving both Bellflower and CalAPS?
Yeah, so CalAPS has, much like the Board of Education, they have policies, different contractual issues that arise. They would be able to basically call upon me to assist them with developing contracts, developing policy. Much like a city would have resolutions and ordinances, generally legal input is well advised in those situations. And so I would assist them in pretty much that capacity. I would not be handling any litigation matters.
Thank you. One other question, would we have to increase your pay?
I appreciate that question.
Clerk
sorry.
Critchfield? No, go ahead, Clerk Critchfield.
I would say, no, I appreciate you doing that because CalAb's having such a significantly smaller budget. We don't have in CalAb's a regular attorney, so I think it's very beneficial to our partners at CalAb's, and no, I appreciate it.
And just want to clarify, any agreement with CalApps would be a separate agreement between my firm and them, so it would not in any way impede or mingle with the district contract.
Any other comments? All right, can I get a motion to approve item 13.1?
Motion to approve item 13.1.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Student Board Member Supnet?
Aye.
Ms. Armstrong?
Aye.
Ms. Cintron?
Aye.
Mr. Critchfield?
Aye.
Mrs. Garza?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye. All right, moving to the consent agenda. Do we have any items to withhold from the consent agenda this evening? All right, hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
You have that motion?
Thank you, Board Member Armstrong. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Clerk Critchfield. Roll call, please.
Student Board Member Supnet?
Aye.
Ms. Armstrong?
Aye.
Ms. Cintron?
Aye.
Mr. Critchfield?
Aye.
Mrs. Garza?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye. All right, board communications. We're going to start with our amazing student board member from my amazing alumni, Ms. Supnet.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, or almost good night. May has been really long, but it's also going by so fast. In early May, our theater group had their spring play, Radium Girls. I had the honor of being both backstage and on stage. It was really nice. And during that time as well, there was 2 weeks of state testing, which early college did keep me from not getting to sleep in, but it's fine. Then the last 2 weeks we had AP testing. Very grateful that I didn't have to take any of these tests. Ensemble had their last concert last week. I didn't get the chance to go, but I got to see a lot of videos and they sounded amazing. So we have a strong emphasis on mental health at our school, and since May is Mental Health Awareness Month, there was a day that we had booths for a self-care day where students could go to different booths and do activities. 2 of the activities that I actually got to do was meditate on the floor with like these little like eye patches. It was actually really nice, and also got to create buttons. And yesterday we have like a little wellness bunny, and there was a whole photo shoot with her. It was actually so cute. Now it's just really just coming up to the final parts of the year. It's going by really, really slow, but yesterday was senior awards night. It was a really nice experience to get a lot of awards and get stacked up for graduation, which there was also performances from band and ensemble. Earlier last week, there was the early college banquet where we received a little stole for graduation and a medal, and 2 certificates, one from Cerritos College and one from Bellflower. Then this week was senior finals. I still have one more final due at 11:59 today, but then that's it. Tomorrow is senior celebrations for all the seniors who are attending a 4-year university, as well as earning a little cord for completing A through G requirements. Then coming up, we have grad night next Friday. Then we have our legacy walk the following Tuesday, golf and stuff, and graduation. And on that following Tuesday, 8th graders also have their universal trip and soon to be promotion. That's all I have for today.
I'm feeling kind of bad you have 11:59. Shout out to the teacher. Please maybe give her an extension. Or if you do want to leave, we understand that you have academic requirements that you need to fulfill. So please feel free to not listen to our board reports and go work on your studies if you need to.
Okay.
All right. Board Member Armstrong.
Thank you, President Stewart. Well, earlier in May has been a long month. But anyway, was it last week? Last week, or no, it was beginning of the month that we celebrated teacher. We had. Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm tired. Okay. Anyway, we had I attended a teacher appreciation event that was hosted by a radio personality. Her name was Sheila Baker. She was a former personality, radio personality. And that was on May 9th. That's why I was so confused. It's so long. So May 9th, that happened. And we had the event at the Miramay, which is formerly known as the French Quarter right here in Bellflower. And she herself is a teacher. She's retired now. And, you know, she continues to elevate other teachers for their dedication to education. And she honored many teachers from LA Unified and Compton, you know, with certificates and proclamations from our local representatives and city leaders. And I just wanted to thank Sheila Baker for her love of education and to teachers on the front line. And now we're on the week for classified staff. You know, I am that teacher, and classified staff really is the reason why I am the teacher that I am. I wouldn't be able to run the class as I do if I didn't have classified staff to help me, you know, create a rich environment for my children. So classified staff, you know, you're so needed, and I know I appreciate all the efforts that come from classified. Again, I wouldn't be able, my students, not even myself, would be able to thrive without the classified staff. So I appreciate you all. I attended the awards night at Bellflower last night. And you know, every year when I attend the awards night, it's just a beautiful event. You know, bringing together all of our students that have excelled and recognize that it's, you know, it's only the beginning to something bigger in life. Our seniors have worked diligently to earn the awards bestowed upon them, and the journey, as most parents know, is not easy at all. It's demanding, it's tough, it's taxing, and we, you know, like teachers, parents, families, friends, all of us, we must continue to inspire and to stimulate and encourage them to continue to test their abilities and grow, because see, they're going out into the world now. And I'm in awe of our awesome seniors, and I'm also delighted and beaming with pride for my own daughter, Cynthia. You know, Cynthia, I'm very proud of her. It wasn't easy for her, and for the teachers that know her, the counselors that know her, the principals, they, you know, with all of the teachers here at Bellflower and the counselors, it made it possible for Cynthia to be as successful as she is, and I'm very proud of her. So, anyway, I do want to, you know, again, May is Mental Health Month, and I was really trying to exercise and do a lot of the little things. I got this little calendar. You guys probably got that calendar too. I'm not sure. But anyway, you know, we can practice, you know, keeping ourselves mentally healthy by, you know, writing down self-care goals and, you know, spending time with nature, with journaling, with reading or reflecting on causes that are important to you, you know, creating a calm space in your home. Take time to do breathing exercises, and that's something that I do with my students. You know, when they get upset, I'm like, practice your breathing, you know. And, you know, another way you can help your mental health is to go somewhere that you've never been, even if it's taking a different way home. Some people use pets, you know. If you have a pet, go ahead and give more love to that pet. If you don't have a pet, find a friend who has one. And of course, you know, make sure you drink your water, stay hydrated, and take a nap, you know. Reflect on your boundaries. Set some boundaries for yourself. and don't be afraid to say no. And it's just a lot of little different things that you can do for yourself to make sure you're mentally stable. So that's all I really have to say right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Armstrong. Board Member Cintron.
Thank you. Just quickly, I just want to say that, well, let me just begin by saying, so I went to the Somerset High School Awards ceremony, and I thought it was really, really nice. I love to hear the cheer behind me because we sat in front, and I attended it with our president and our superintendent, and I'm sorry, interim superintendent, and it was just a really good experience. And to see the effort and to see those students glow on stage the way they did, knowing that they put in so much effort and they had a chance to kind of reflect and had the input from the like side notes from the teachers. It was really nice to hear. A lot of it was goofy and funny, and you can tell that Somerset is a really good place for those students who really need it. And I really appreciated hearing it, seeing the families just elated, and everybody's cheering for everyone else. So that was really great. I also had a chance to attend the retirement social with our vice president or vice chair. And that was also really nice event. It's incredible how many of our teachers have been around, but also are just still so passionate and want to like give information to the other teachers that were there, like don't forget this and do this. It was just really nice to hear it and be around that kind of climate. I don't always get to be around all the teachers, but I really appreciated it, and I want to say a special thank you and congratulations to all those that are retiring. I also want to say thank you for all of our teachers and our committees that came out to present to us tonight. It was a lot of hard work, and their recommendation is extremely important to the board, especially since they're the ones that are going to implement it. They're the ones that are going to, be with our students and things like that. And so I just wanted to give an extra little shout out. Maybe they can see it later. And just a thank you for all their hard work. And I truly appreciate to hear their feedback and be able to answer the hard questions that we give them. Including our cabinet. We give you guys really hard questions, and you guys are always ready to hit the bat, or hit the ball. But I also do want to say, please, for those that are watching and those that are still here in attendance that want to give input for the LCAP, I'm a huge advocate. Come out and make your any recommendations or something that you don't understand, get your questions answered. This is what that time is, June 12th, and I'm sure we're going to have more information for those that want to attend or participate or however. But bring all the information and bring all your comments and your concerns. Do that so we know what's going on, because when we're up here, there's only some parents that are emailing us or calling us or texting us, but there's so many of you that don't get a chance to do that. And so I would invite you to please participate in any which way you can, whenever you can. So June 12th, keep that noted. But lastly, with that, I want to say a special thank you to the parents that came out. Excuse me, that came out and spoke tonight. Man, do I remember being on that dais and being a voice for students. And it was very, very hard to keep a straight face to hear them talk. But I want to also emphasize to all our community and our parents that our cabinet is not shutting their ears to you. They are listening and they are making plans, and there's always room for improvement. Our cabinet already knows, our teachers know, our board members were always ready to listen to you and make sure that even if we don't say it, and even if you don't see all the mechanisms in place to make that change happen, your voices are being heard. So I just want to say thank you, and the appropriate people from our cabinet will be reaching out to the parents that spoke, but also extending that to all the other parents that have concerns or that need a little bit more information. We are ready and willing to give it. But with that, I look forward to participating in my first round of graduations. It's 3 beautiful days of hearing. I'm sure I'm gonna lose my hearing with all this screaming, because mine graduated last year and we were the loudest section. And it was fun, so I look forward to that, and yeah, have a good night.
Thank you, Board Member Cintron. Clerk Critchfield.
Thank you, Madam President. First of all, happy Classified Week. Shout out to my classifieds. I'm a fellow classified over at the college, and I appreciate all the hard work you guys do here for BUSD. Second, I've been kind of just chilling since the last board meeting, since my surgery. It's a height adjustment. I'm trying to get taller. So I got a surgery because I want to be the same height as my wife so people don't make fun of me. So I think I got a 1/4 of an inch now, so I'm getting there. But I have been just kind of hanging out. I was able to still do, yeah, the thing, like, even when I'm supposed to be resting right now, but I believe the work that we do here is very, very important. And I could have, justifiably, like, missed a meeting, but when possible, like, I'm always going to try to make it just like my colleagues. We're very dedicated and determined to serve. So, I'm in a little bit of pain, but I'm happy to be here. Couple things I want to bring up. One of our very own, Anaya Greenwich, is going to be, she's going to get a certificate of recognition at the Compton Founders Day event, and that's coming up May 31st from 12 to 3 at the Compton City Hall. Her mom reached out and invited the board, and I'd say anybody else, I think it's really important that we celebrate our students not only here, but when they're getting recognized elsewhere. I think it shows an extra layer of just love and support for our students. Couple things. One, thank you, Miss Alma. I, like my colleagues, have gotten a lot of emails similar to what we've heard from parents tonight. And me being a parent of a child with special needs, I totally get it. Change is so difficult for our kids with special needs. And it can be very jarring, and it's scary. Like, even me with my daughter, it's scary. And I think you taking the time to meet with me and really break everything down a second time is very helpful, because we are your mouthpieces in the community. The more we know, the better we can communicate to our parents and ease some concern, and also bring some optimism to the table too. Because at the end of the day, the changes that you're making are for the betterment of our district and for the benefit of our kids. And like my colleague Ms. Cintron mentioned, I think we all agree we could do a little bit better on communication. And it not just on like the positive, happy things. I think we've really come a long way since before I got on the board as far as communication. Between social media, the website, YouTube, we've done a lot. But I think the part that's missing, hey, quiet down over there. Just kidding. I think the part that we're missing is communicating the things that we don't want to communicate, but we should, because it's the right thing to do, and it's going to ease. I think we've done really good at pumping ourselves and highlighting some of our successes, but now we have to really lean into that transparent other side where we're meeting challenges head on and getting ahead of them and really breaking down this is why these changes are happening. So I have every confidence in the world that we'll get there. I think this is a big reminder that we need to do that now, starting right now and even before, but we're gonna get there. And yeah, and I, like all my colleagues, are very accessible, and we always encourage everybody. I respond to every email I get, and I try to comment on social media when these things come up, and I know my colleagues do as well. So we're accessible, we hear you, and we're with you, and we're one of you. So keep coming to the meetings and reaching out outside the meetings as well. Last thing, actually, no. That's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Clerk Critchfield. I hate that. Vice President Garza.
Thank you, Madam President. Just happy Classified Week and happy upcoming Memorial Day this weekend. Please enjoy your rest so that way you can come back and finish off the week. I think we're almost done, right? So keep looking towards that. I was able to attend the student board member interviews on May 12th with President Stewart. We have a really good candidate for you guys. We're really excited for this next school year as well. I also was able to attend the Mayfair High School Senior Scholarship Night. I wasn't able to stay to see the actual awards ceremony, but I was there for the half of the first part. And then also I was able to attend the Somerset High School Annual Spring Awards with President Stewart and board member Cintron and our interim superintendent. So that was a really nice event, seeing them just walk up there and get their awards and be celebrated by their families and their colleagues. On May, what was that? Oh yes, and then I just want to kind of piggyback on what board member Critchfield was saying. Ayana Greenwich, amazing student that we have in our district. She actually was my English student in an ILC dual immersion classroom. I can tell you that that family is unique. They're a very unique family, and it's very heartwarming to see her grow up in our district and become such an amazing young lady. She is not the only one that we have. This is only one story that is being highlighted, but there's so many of our kids who do this on a day in, day out. So when we can celebrate them and we are aware of them, we do want to support. So very, very proud of her and her family. Thank you for representing us and, showing and showcasing what Bellflower is all about. Thank you so much, and hope you have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Vice President Garza. All right, it's down to me. The last few weeks, I've been to a lot of events. I know it's a busy time for our employees, and we are almost finished. So I thank you guys for a great 2024-25 academic year, and I hope that everyone has a restful and exhilarating summer off. I look forward to our upcoming graduations. Last week, Vice President Garza, Dr. Smith, and I, we interviewed the student board members, and we went through their applications for next year. There were 5 amazing students, and it was such a difficult choice. All of them would have been great choices, but we chose one of our students from Mayfair, and we're really excited about that. And we also asked that Los Flores be represented in our student reports for each school. They had an amazing candidate that was on our panel as well. I attended senior award nights for Mayfair, Somerset, and Bellflower. All of these ceremonies were so beautiful. I am so proud of all of our 2025 graduates, and I wish them nothing but positive energy and success in their future endeavors. I met with CSEA President Michelle Cuellar. We discussed things like our SPED changes, the positive impact that the Summer Saver program has had on our employees, communication, and the aides, and our desire to continue to hire district aides and not use agencies. Monday, I went to the Dodger game for Union Night. I am not good luck. I'm not going anymore. I am sorry that I missed the retirement dinner, but I heard it went really well, and the retirees I spoke with were very thankful, and I hope that more people will participate in the next one because I've heard great things. Tuesday, we had our CalOps Spring Awards. Thank you again to Miss Arlene Whitney and her staff for making this event so beautiful, and congrats to all of our CalApps Award winners. We are so proud of you. And yesterday, I attended the CSEA Appreciation Luncheon. Thank you to Michelle Cuellar and her staff, Anthony, Joanne, Angela. I know you said there were a whole bunch of others. I'm sorry I missed. But it was a fabulous event at the Kiwanis Hall, and it was just really nice. I sat there for a few hours, and I was just able to sit down and talk with some of our employees, celebrate everything they do for us, listen to any concerns they had. So it was a really cool event. So thank you to CSEA for putting that on for your own employees, because that was awesome. We appreciate you guys all so much. And that is it for me. All right, informational items. Do we have any questions on any of the information items tonight? All right, long meeting, but we got through it. Hearing none, if there's no objection, the meeting will be adjourned at 9:46 p.m. and the next board meeting will be held on June 12th, 2025, and that'll be a special board meeting. Thank you.